Hold on, 10%. You have yours, because we find this through the.
No.
state. You got to charge 10%, just be a plus.
Yes, that's what my acres in 22.
You know, I miss, I used to, or I still miss. Chances before they.
Hey, Joy. Trying to make me small? Yeah, it's like, who picked that cloth?
Did you take a
Trying to make me small, told me to blame you for the chairs you love it.
to get us through?
It was like way down here. It's kind of fun. Yeah, I hear you.
All right, good evening. Thank you for being here on Monday, June 15th at 6 o'clock. We'll start by calling tonight's regular city council meeting to order. We'll do that through a roll call.
Julie Weeks here, AJ Shumford.
Here.
Joel Newman,
Here.
Russ Terhart.
Here.
Trey Conley.
Here.
Two items for you on the approval of the agenda. Would like to pull 321 Main Street mural out of the consent. Would like to ask council to do that. Would also like to ask council to remove letter H under discussion consideration of homes by advantage development agreement. We will execute that on G underneath ordinance and resolutions. If
Move to remove those two items.
Second.
perfect. We'll move, Lindsay, help me, Jerry, we'll move 321 mural to the discussions section and we'll start with it. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify with the sign aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? We'll now open up the floor for our citizens forum. Is there any citizen present that would like to address the council about a topic? Yes, please.
Good evening, Karen Sebde, Story County Community Foundation. Just an update on our grants program for 2026. In front of you is our annual report in 2025 and a rundown of our grants for the 2025 season. We gave a record amount of nearly 300,000 in community and one impact grant to the Story County Conservation of 100,000 for the Hickory Grove Park and the new Deppie Park for south of the McFarland Park. On the backside is a list of the full grants. The 2026 grants, we have a sharp deadline coming up in 15 days. June 30th is our new impact grant letter of intent deadline, along with a 3-minute video. The impact grant is now for $50,000. So if you know of an organization, community department, municipal department that would like to put forth, they need to apply. They need to first submit a letter of intent and the video, and then a decision will be made who will move on to the application process. All deadlines are September 30th for all applications. We also offer small business grants. So if there's a small business here around that needs a little boost, please encourage them to apply. Top award is for $5,000 on those. So if you have any questions, I encourage you to call me or have anyone who's interested in the grant reach out to me, and I can answer any questions. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other residents? You would like to address the council? Okay. We'll move to the consent agenda now. That now would be an appropriate time for your questions relating to any item in the consent agenda, with the reminder that we've removed the 321 main mural.
I just have one update on street closure for July 4th.
Yes, perfect. Can't wait.
What's that?
Can't wait.
Okay, good.
4th of July, not the
Um,
street closure, but
Benton between 3rd and 4th for the town photo on Thursday, July 3rd needs to be added to that,
Oh, yes, yep.
so.
That's on the south end of the park, right?
Yeah, no, that's on the east side of the park. By the
Okay.
log cabin, so. I don't know the time when that picture being done. I
There's got posters,
don't-
and it's immediately after the kiddie parade. That's the reason you guys picked that.
Okay, yeah, so from 6, it'll be from that 6:30 to 7 or 6:15 to 7. So,
And it's on the east side of the park?
yep,
Okay. Cause I know we closed the west side of the park. Okay.
right, close the west side for the parade, the K parade, yeah.
Okay,
No, it's the same side as the kiddie parade.
that's the west side then.
I thought you
That
guys
is
changed the.
That
kiddie
is the
parade.
west side. No, we didn't change the kiddie parade. It's on the west
Oh,
side
okay.
of the square. Of
I'm
the-
sorry, my story is secondhand, so.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so we can include that for an hour or 30 minutes or whatever's necessary.
Yep. That actually 30.
Those poor folks coming from Casey's to the north side of town are gonna have to take a two block detour.
So bad.
Small town problems. All right. Thank you, Joel. You guys, thanks to the community club, always do a great job, so appreciate it.
One quick question, the Story County bike ride for part of Iowa,
Yeah,
is there anything we need to do to support that? I saw the brochure, but
But it's, I think it's up to each individual community to do
Yep.
what they want to do.
Right.
Um,
I didn't know as a community of Slater, if we
Yeah.
needed to have any kind of kickoff thing.
yeah, I mean, short of notifying businesses about the event, I don't know if there's something that the city council wants staff to look into on that. They're gonna start here,
I'm not a
So
part of
sorry,
Slater, so I
yeah.
don't know. I'm just asking the question if there's something we're supposed to be
it'll
doing.
be similar to last year's ride.
Okay. So it might be worth letting the business know, especially if we're gonna start right here,
Right.
on the job station.
Start here or by the trail.
They're starting.
Right there. Yeah.
yeah, we asked for them to start on Main Street. They wanted to start a year ago out the parking lot at the trailhead on the northeast side of Slater. And when they approached, it's like, that doesn't help Slater a lot.
Yeah,
So they committed to doing it on Main.
that's great.
All right. Anything else? Good points. Motion to approve the consent agenda then is open.
I make motion.
Okay.
All those in favor signify with the sign aye.
I,
Opposed? Any abstentions? Deputy Lentz is here. Anything to report? I know you've dropped a letter here for some updated emergency contact things.
Dispatch is trying to get updated for every town right now, so just pack it when you're done. I think they put it in there, you can email it or mail it. Probably throw in, I don't know if it's changed anything with your fireworks ordinance, but that time of year's coming up too, so we have that on file. Everyone. Kind of time of year, we start collecting those, and start getting calls on them.
Make sure they get that one.
The parade, we talked really late last year about getting somebody in. I don't know if you've already talked to it. I think Combs did it last year, but I kind of reach out to see if someone wants to.
I haven't talked to anybody, so if you could, that'd be
I
great.
reached out to them, see if they want to do it again
Yep.
or coordinate.
Just consider it a standing invite for eternity.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I'm sure you'll, will give it, I'll reach out and just try and get someone there.
Perfect.
Cool, thanks.
Anything else for us?
No, I think everything's good.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Sound good?
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Jerry?
Yeah, I want to start by thanking our planning and zoning commission members for participating in the special meeting that we had on June 11th. You've got 3 items on the agenda. That the planning and zoning commission reviewed, which is the absolute business park plat, boxcar barbecue site plan, which we've had quite a bit of discussion about, and then Prairie Creek Townhome Plat 1. Planning and zoning commission did recommend approval on all those documents. A few of them had legal information that was needed. And the boxcar barbecue, I think we were working through a couple of the comments still for the city's engineer, primarily related to the stormwater drainage. The drawing that you have shows this retention basin on the south side of the building, and they're proposing to shift that to the east side of the site. So there'll be a minor adjustment. But the city's SUDAS that we've adopted and the site plan standards do require the applicant to address the stormwater drainage with regard to what their changes are for the site. So that's part of what they're going through in designing that. We've got bids that were submitted on the recycling requests at the last city council meeting. The council asked staff to reach out to the haulers in town and ask that if they were the sole provider, what would the cost be to the residents? Garbage and solid waste. We've got a couple of those haulers, representatives here with garbage bags and sanitation. So thank you for your participation. Thank you to the public works staff for getting the pool ready to meet the June 6th opening, and then also Kelsey and working with lifeguards for this year to get them ready to do their jobs. On June 1st, the Parks and Rec Board did a walkthrough of the pool building and the grounds. And they came up with a list of items that have been provided to the Public Works Department. There's a variety of things. Some of these things are kind of ongoing with regard to patching of the deck area outside the pool. Door latches that don't latch on the dressing rooms. Windows that need to be caulked and painted. There was an area on the southwest side of the pool site that there was some drainage erosion that was being caused by a downspout that didn't have anywhere to direct it. And that particular issue has been addressed by Public Works. There's an area just outside of the front where the brick pavers are the larger ones that need to be reset. And so a couple of the drain covers throughout the decking area of the pool likely need to be replaced as they're rusted, starting to rust. Then we've got a couple of issues that we're working through internally on the security cameras, the public address system to communicate with the patrons. So again, we've got a list that have been generated by the Parks and Rec Board. And I put together these notes on the minutes, and the Parks and Rec Board will be meeting next Monday on those minutes. But we'll make sure that we follow up on these things, and yeah, most of them can be addressed while the pool is actually open. We received a couple of applications for the Public Works Director position, and we're planning on having interviews on Tuesday, the 23rd. We've got an item on the agenda for an interim director. Mark's last day is the 3rd. So we have a request from an internal candidate as an interim. So again, that's on the agenda. And then something new that I'm going to be starting, that we're going to start next week, is I'm going to be meeting individually instead of having, we do have weekly staff meetings, so I'm going to be meeting one-on-one with the zone heads on their turf in their office on a monthly basis, just to talk about departmental issues, talk about projects, so we can make sure that I'm accessible for them, so we can provide the best service support to their individual departments. So that's basically all I have. Any questions?
Any questions for Derek? Any council updates? All right, so our new financial advisors are here, got introduced to them last week. PFM here are gonna join us and start advising a little more closely, I think, than what we've had in a past relationship. So I know Lindsay's has experience working with them. Jerry has experience, and I had a positive introductory meeting to them. Glad they're here. I also sat down and met with Hawkins. We're trying to get that across the finish line with some challenges related to just building design and chemicals, all those things. We're trying to just get resolution on. Friday, Economic Development Authority, Ames Economic Alliance is bringing a representative from them here to meet the city of Slater. Our economic development contract with the Ames Economic Alliance is live on the 1st of July. We had an initial presentation on the traffic study on 210 for this, for our infrastructure expansion to that north of 210 for access to the barbecue and the future development of the 80 acres north of there. So we've seen the initial part of that, and there's some revisions being made. I received an invite from the superintendent for 2 Slater representatives to participate in the Ballard Community Schools Facility Planning Committee. The school board also renewed their intent or indicated their intent to renew the baseball field contract for another season. We've made some repairs to the home plate down there. If you haven't been down there, I think I've mentioned this, but Mark and the public works staff put in a significant amount of work to cleaning up, painting, redoing dugouts, cleaning up sheds. You'll see in the plans, replace some benches, modernize to more of an aluminum bench in the dugouts. But we also deep tined the field, and then we also had to do some home plate correction down there. There was enough material that had been added to the home plate area in the batter's boxes that it kind of created it turned home plate into the inside of a volcano effectively. So we had them come out and get that cleared up so that it wasn't a safety hazard anymore, and so that's been fixed. 2 more people have reached out about 321 Main to take a look at it with some ideas. One person that was, I thought, laying dormant has reached back out and expressed interest. Home Needs is moving along. I can tell you that building is like transformed night and day from what it was to where it's at today. They are a little behind. I don't know if they'll make the July 4th open date, but they're not going to be that much further because they've passed, as you've seen on their social media, past their rough end. And so that's going well for them, I think. I'll be reaching out. My intent tonight, I know we have an agenda item to discuss performance reviews, but I'd like to reach out and gather some council feedback along with staff feedback and community feedback so that I can sit down with Jerry one-on-one and talk with him a little bit about some of those things that come out of a little bit of feedback from everybody. So I'm working through a little bit of a survey to gather from all of you, outside of even the discussion tonight, but for future feedback. That's the most of what I could think that I've been doing, but I know there's obviously more, but is there questions? Nope. All right. We're gonna move into the public hearings. We've got a public hearing here for the fiscal year 26 budget amendment. And it is currently 6:16, and we're gonna go ahead and open that public hearing for public comment here with a roll call.
Julie Weeks here, AJ Strumfer.
Here.
Joel Newman.
Here.
Russ Terhart.
Here.
Craig Conley.
Here.
I'm assuming most people are here to comment on the budget amendment. Ready. It is a good budget amendment. We can talk about it here in just a second, when we close the public hearing, but appreciate Lindsay's work on that, getting that done. This is a regular practice we have to do at the end of each fiscal year to close out the year. This is the last meeting of the fiscal year for the city of Slater. It's 6:17. No public comment in the room, and we've received no written comment, correct?
Correct.
We're gonna go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:17 and return into our regular session with a roll call.
Julie Weeks.
Here.
AJ Strumfer.
Here.
Joel Newman.
Here.
Russ Terhart.
Here.
Craig Conley.
Here.
Does the council have questions about the budget resolution or the budget amendment?
Miscellaneous revenues.
Ask the same question. The miscellaneous revenue.
No, I
two
would
hundred and
touch base.
70. Miscellaneous was right
Oh,
here.
from 42.
270.
So a lot of it has to do with cleaning up the chart accounts. That's why it's changed so much.
Okay, so they just didn't have.
It wasn't-
Revenues weren't marked for the correct accounts.
Correct.
So they just thrown into miscellaneous.
We eliminated accounts
We eliminated, cleaned up a lot of accounts.
because there was accounts that were out of kind of the core chart of account structure.
Gotcha.
So that generated some of it. I think what I would note maybe is kind of like a final takeaway, and Craig studies these sheets a lot deeper than I do probably, so he could attest, but ultimately what you see from where we started, the original amended to after the budget, it's a $701,000 difference in the fund. And when you look at the total of where was I, Lindsay, on that?
Business type? You're looking at,
Oh, total government activities and business expenditures, right? So we certified a budget at 3.6 million and we're amending for a final budget of 4.6. That's a, $1 million difference in the budget. The reason for that is because when we started the fiscal year a year ago, we didn't put in $1 million budget to pay off the sewer loan that we paid off.
Okay.
So that makes it appear that, we spent $1 million more. But we just paid the loan and that was a $1.1 million loan payment.
it was an 800,000,
Two.
almost 800, wasn't it?
276.
Yeah, the one that says Iowa Finance is 3 loans combined,
Okay, so we paid 3 loans off that 1.1 million.
1 loan off and then 2 of the bonds.
2 loan payments.
Two payments.
one payoff.
Yep.
There was a second one, expenditures.
The UMB one, the Geo bond. Yep,
Yep, that's for the street
that's
project.
great.
Okay.
Make 17.
So now we'll go down to 3
So
payments.
it was paid 1.3 million or 1 point. Shy. of
The UMB would have been budgeted for and the other 2 should have been budgeted for.
Mhm.
All the regular payments against the loan were budgeted for. The payoff was not.
The 600,
76.
676.
Long story short, so is the miscellaneous revenues gonna continue to be a higher number?
No.
then? Okay. So they have been earmarked for the correct accounts now,
Correct,
that, okay, gotcha.
going
Casey
forward.
probably knows this better than I do, but the chart of accounts that all of our budgets run on have a fairly standard format that we weren't following.
Mhm.
So she has put all of our budgets back to where they should be, so we're aligned with every other city in the state. But in the process, it made, this account was way over, that account was way under.
Right.
So the key part is the 700 grand that were different. And of that 700 grand that were off at the end, 676 was the loan payoff.
Correct.
That was the only thing I saw that was
The one.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
other than the revenues versus expenditures, it's been clarified,
Mhm.
Mhm.
so.
The one clarification I needed, Lindsay, and I didn't get a chance to call you before I figured this out. Your last April clerk's report, we showed 6.7 million. And on this, we're planning on the final cash balance of 4.3, which is almost $2.4 million difference. And I know April, we bring in a lot of income, so we go artificially up and then we make a lot of payments in.
I'm not for sure. I'll have to look at, I haven't looked at the clerk's report for June yet. So, I mean, for
Right, he's not
May.
done yet.
Yeah.
But I was looking at April, and from April, we're going down 2.4 million. That seemed really steep. I know we get nasty swings and make payments all year and you only get income a couple of times.
Yeah,
But we're going from 6.7 all the way down to
4.
4.4.
And remember, I just transferred out 314 for the library into a
Okay,
CD.
so that's not included in this balance that's shown elsewhere. No.
Probably, yeah, it should be.
Okay, all right,
I won't be included in here.
all right, because then the 1.7 for this month and the 300 plus for last month. Except majority of the rest. I didn't realize that transfer to the library came out of the balance. Okay.
Yep.
All right, addressed, thank you.
It's all good. Motion to approve the amendment. Last chance for discussion. All those in favor signify with the sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Moving along to the next item, we need to open the public hearing for the construction for the 2026 wastewater treatment plant improvement project. If you haven't been tracking, this is for an adjustment to the piping at the wastewater treatment plant in an effort to reduce the odor that has been a complaint. So this allows us to treat the water, move the water to different holding ponds and cells to hopefully dilute it and reduce the amount of odor that comes from the settling pond. So we'll open the public hearing 6:23 with a roll call.
Julie Weeks, AJ Strumper,
Here.
Joel Newman,
Here.
Russ Terhar,
Here.
Craig Conley.
Here.
Is there anybody here that would like to speak regarding the wastewater treatment, improvement project. Just one second. Go ahead, Tim.
It's Tim Davis, live on the south side. A long time, 25 years, and we all know it's there. But like how much funds is in teams? I saw Iowa State go back there the other day, a couple of trucks and stuff. So we throwing everything at it to simplify. I know you just said this about moving water and all that, but it seems like I come, there's often these meetings I hear, we're gonna try this, we're gonna try this. We have certain experts that come here, which I appreciate, but the smell keeps coming back. It's bad, and I know it's the broken wheel, but is there an end to this at all? Because that family comes in, they're in last weekend, and the comment on it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. I know that. I know you guys know that, but it just has to. Something has to be remedied for this. And I'm
Yeah.
sure it's not cheap what we're doing, but I guess there's a step 1, step 2, step 3. Like stuff's going on this summer. Can anybody speak to that at all? Like what's going on down right now? I see workers go back there, trucks and that sort of thing. And
Yeah.
if there's updates, is it on the website that you kind of,
Yeah, we can,
I'm just asking.
yeah, we have your questions. We will respond to them.
Thank you.
Any other residents on the? Okay. Mark, did you want to comment at all? Just,
I was just gonna provide a report of the bids.
okay, we'll wait for just a second. Any other public comment? Any written public comment?
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Sewer rates went up and I was quick trying to catch Craig on that one. I was gonna take it back $50 a month. And you take that by every household. What are you pulling in? How many tens of thousands are you pulling in a year? Where's it going? And is it going to the snow?
Great question.
For how long? Because when I asked, when I came in to, talk to somebody, they said that they weren't sure how long this $50 was gonna go. Now, we all know that when you raise prices on something, usually you don't pop it back down. So I was here when they got the awards for the lagoon and how wonderful everything was. And he said, we're getting clean water. That's great. The smell's been bad this year, but I deal with it on that side too. This year has been bad, but again, more money. Where's it going and when is it gonna stop? Because we're a small town. You're between that, exactly, you're pricing people out of town.
Appreciate the comment. It's any other residents? It's 6:26, so we're gonna close the public hearing with a roll call back into the regular session.
Julie Weeks, AJ Strumper,
Here.
Joel Newman, Russ Hart,
Here.
Craig Conley.
Here.
Okay, I just want to, before we go into the discussion about this project, just address the comments because it was a public hearing. I just let the public comment and then address it during our discussion standpoint. To take way back to the original design of this project, it was designed with a grit system that was supposed to remove the solid waste before it entered the lagoon system. At that, the organics, our wastewater expert here, AJ, is very passionate about this as well. And, you know, we're lucky to have somebody with his experience on the council, but that was removed from the original design by Slater City Council to save money. It was a newer piece of technology that we use to treat our waste, but we did make council documented adjustments to the proposed design to save costs. What caused that? What's the consequence of that? I think you learn that somewhat through the time that we've all had to live, and you on the south side have paid the most expensive price, for sure. What we did is there's been experts of all different areas, to your point, that have come looked at it, talked about it, been involved in it. We added aeration to it. That made some differences. We did it in a really cost-effective manner because Public Works performed a ton of the work to do that. But then ultimately, Public Works, I think, was tasked with solving a problem that a typical Public Works department is not responsible for figuring out because it takes a greater expertise than that. At that point, we'd had Snyder in, we talked to JEO, Iowa State University has been here, many people have been here and looked at it. But it boiled down to like 3 different alternative options to kind of look at and consider. And everybody that I've sat around in the room has debated this, Tim, and what continually comes back to is the ability to channel the water in the warmer months into a larger pond of water, into a larger cell of water to help with the dilution. Is what consistently becomes the recommended path. It would effectively be taking us back to the same way we were using our lagoon system before versus the way when it was designed had a smaller settling pond. And to take you just barely into it, the treatment system we use is an algae growth treatment system, which means there has to be a certain temperature inside of the greenhouse to grow algae, to treat the waste, to remove all of the things we have to remove out of it. So the settling pond was something that was designed in theory of keeping that, making that temperature, getting that temperature into the treatment facility so the treatment worked. But in the summer, the temperature of the water isn't a problem. So the solution that's been kind of devised by the experts is the temperature is not a problem in the summer, but the odor is. So why can't we go back and use our lagoon system the way it was designed and function before this facility came around? And so the piping that is being approved tonight, hopefully, by council, gives us the ability to turn, valves to adjust that so that we don't just settle into the smaller settling pond when the temperatures are the highest and the dilution is small. Would be my synopsis of what kind of the direction forward has been devised as. AJ or Craig, you guys have been really involved in this discussion.
There is a potential for a second stage to basically make that settling pond a little bit smaller. So in theory, the way that this has been designed and what they've come up with, in theory, it should work. So a lot of this is untested equipment. This Grosswind is all new technology. It hasn't really been done to this scale up until recently. So, it's a learning curve. So this is a little bit more money than adding more aeration, but hopefully, basically what it's doing is it's just going septic, and that's where the smell's coming from. But it's simple.
Is that gonna continue, like,
And this should ultimately fix it. So
starting this fall, or?
that was my question, when work was gonna start.
We'll get into the work part in a second. And then I just wanted to address the $50. That's maybe what it translated on your bill. What we did is we changed the minimum, the connection fee slightly and the rate as well. It was not a $50 adjustment. I can't remember right off the top of my head what the minimum connection fee was, but it would equate to everybody, as a unique number based on their water usage. And the reason we did that, and I think Craig gave you the answer, but we had to get in compliance with one of the bonds that we had. That's also partially why we paid off one of the loans as well, was to try to balance that out so that the increases didn't have to be higher. So we took the funds that have been paid in sewer, and by law, we need to use those funds to take care of those facilities. They're called enterprise accounts. So the sewer fund we spend on the sewer. The water fund we spend on the water, and we try to keep those enterprise accounts siloed and reinvest that money in the infrastructure to keep it usable. So the money that you've paid for years has helped us pay off a loan so that our adjustment in rates didn't have to go as high as what the compliance to the 110% rule would have been. That is a covenant in our money that we've borrowed. So I don't want to not address it, but in the public forum, but I wanted you to understand that it was definitely not our intent to raise it $50. And I can promise you the past council and this council did not want to raise water or sewer bills at all. But we have to stay within compliance of the covenant of our loan, or they could call it due. And in that instance, we'd try to place it in today's credit market. It'd be very disadvantageous for the residents. All right, outstanding. With that said, Mark, do you want to give us the update on the bids and
Sure.
timeline and all that?
We'll do. So we, if you remember from last month, we bid and we did not receive any bids, so we rebid again this month. Unfortunately, we received 3 bids. The bids ranged in cost from $138,355, which was the low bid by J.B. Holland, up to $222,000. And so with our experience with J.B. Holland, who was the low bidder. We've worked with them on many projects. They're a longtime contractor who's successfully completed similar projects in the past. And so we recommend award of the contract to J.G. Holland, just to kind of set the stage relative to the work itself. If you remember from last month, we did, since we didn't receive any bids, we had to change a few things in order to help us get bids. The two main things we did were remove the dredging from the Selman Pond, thinking let's just evaluate and see if we even need to do it based on how it goes after this project is in place. And the second thing we did was adjust the completion date. And that completion date now is December 1st of 2026. So we don't have an exact time when they would start. We basically, in order to try to give us the most chance to procure a contractor, we gave them wide latitude of when they could start based on their workload. But the completion date, everything has to be completed by December 1st. The one thing that I will note toward the completion date is the stop log structure itself is going to take several months to get ordered and install. So at the time the work is complete, maybe everything is done, but we just don't have the stop logs to put down in there, which for the winter time when that would start, then we can turn the valve and shouldn't be an issue. So is there any questions about the bid or the cost?
What would you estimate the cost is gonna be of the two valves that we need to supply?
What's that?
We've already paid for them.
What were they?
You already approved the payment for them.
But I can't remember what they were.
I don't remember.
There's two valves that we're supplying.
Right, yeah, so we're supplying to the valve.
Yeah, Mark had them ordered. I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
It was in closer to like the 20,000 or 20 is what I want to say, but we can get the answer to what that was.
Yeah.
My concern is the prices continue to go up on something that we hope works, but we have no guarantees. It's the one thing I'm finding versus pigs, humans. Some we can't guarantee that things can work.
Well, I will reiterate what AJ said in terms of similarity to how the system worked. So effectively what you're doing is, I'd say however it smelled before the new treatment plant came into place, that's effectively what you're doing, is putting it right into the same system. So I don't know that I can say there'll be no smell, but it'll smell however it smelled before.
Yep, agreed.
That's it.
So I think this will address the odor in the main lagoon.
Right.
I don't know what we're gonna do about the sediment pond. Cause I don't know.
Hopefully this will dilute it enough that it won't be an issue. but
Hopefully.
I do have concerns with the settling pond still being too much square footage
Yep.
without aeration. So that's where I was saying that there's a potential, like we had talked about on the initial meetings, that may need to be done. But the logistics of that, I guess, if you will, should be relatively easy. I mean, almost staff should realistically be able to do that. It's really simple. I'll go give them a hand if they need it.
Yep.
It's not very difficult.
It just keeps adding additional cost and then, yes, will this address the odors? I believe so, yes, even if we have to do additional work at sediment pond. But as a crop guy, I also know we're diluting the concentration of the salvage. By going out into number one. The reason we did this entire project was because our water quality was where it needed to be. If we dilute what goes into the RAB does not work as effectively, and are we gonna discharge, are we now gonna have a water quality problem as opposed to an odor problem?
That was ran by Gross Wind,
I don't
and they
think-
advised it would diminish, it could diminish the algae growth.
Yep.
But it would not change the treatment of the water is what they didn't anticipate an adjustment in the treatment of water, which explained to me how that works. I don't know, but we did ask Gross Wind
Yes,
that.
and agreed.
And I think the other thing to keep in mind is how much the grit and organic, that system was removed, and you wrote a memo on it and I've read it. It was a $700,000 savings when the city removed it, when they put this plan in.
Probably all told, it was over $1 million for everything that was part of it.
So we took that out. So I agree that we're the ones, now that get to sit here and deliberate and make the decisions, but from optimal design, we saved $1 million and now we're incrementally, spending that back.
Yep.
We did price that filtration system and it was north of $1 million to do that
It was pushing 2 now.
as a solution now.
Yep.
But I think if you look at it from that lens, if you, based on past council's action and what we're doing, we are ahead money.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to second.
And
guess.
so it's just,
It's cool game. No, I'm not trying to second guess what we did then.
yeah,
My concern now is, is this really gonna solve the problem? And we made that decision, so I'm not gonna second guess that one. I mean, people know where I live. My place reeks. It is intolerable out there. Now, we got that 2 inches of rain and nobody can explain to me why 2 inches of rain makes it stop smelling. Even the Iowa State guys were like, that's strange.
The pollution is why.
Agreed to some degree,
Effectively, you're already doing what we're.
but.
do,
But
yeah.
but 2 inches of rain on top of that sediment pond shouldn't stop the just overpowering stench. So what
Right,
I guess what I'm asking right now is, since we're gonna have to go this entire summer, this thing is not gonna be done until we get to the pool season again. Can we put some additional aeration into the sediment pond? AJ, I know you got legit concerns about, we're gonna get more grit into the rad. If we gotta clean that thing more frequently, so be it. I know the pumps are a concern, but we are running all this grit through our lift stations right now, right? So, I guess I'm not thrilled with potentially causing downstream problems, but it is miserable down there. It's as bad as it's ever been. And we did have success using the salt air of the temporaries. So I guess what I'm looking at is,
We have that system in though, that's aerating it now.
we have the temporary, but it's not putting out nearly the airflow that it was with salt air. We haven't proven that, but as soon as you took the salt air out of the temporary, put this one in, we headed into the cool season. As soon as we got back to the warm season, we aren't getting the airflow. I know we asked Schneider, you guys went through the theoretical, but didn't actually do the actual airflow, what's coming out of that. My request is, can we invest the money, add additional airflow now? I hate to throw good money after bad, but it is really bad down there. So I'm asking for, I guess technically me personally, but also the 10th, 11th, maybe 9th, and on the wrong wind day, all the way up to Main Street, or all the way up to 210. It's bad.
Yeah, I don't know that we'd have to go back and look at, that was quantified. That was a $38,000 project or 30-some thousand, $40,000 project.
It was down around 20 plus. There was additional for the engine, I can't remember what that's called.
Maybe all of it.
It was, I think it was 20 grand for the aeration and 8 grand for the enzyme.
Enzymes.
And I guess at this point, I'm not saying do anything about the enzymes for now. And I make a motion, but it seems self-serving on my part since settlement pond is in my backyard.
It really made a difference. It would help.
When the salt air was there,
Certainly. Yeah.
it fixed the problem. And I did put 2 and 2 together when we switched it to the permanent install. It was heading into the cool temperatures and I couldn't figure out why the next spring the odors just came back in force. And it finally struck me too late that we changed to a different air system to go with the aerators. We're probably not getting the airflow we were on the salt air.
Do you have that memo, Mark? Your memo that you submitted on that first option?
Not with me.
I think, it'd be an accounts, past accounts, but. I mean, I don't want anybody to have to live where it smells like that, and it is embarrassing. I personally had not noticed it as much this year, but I don't live there. I pass through there, so. I think if that's what we need to do, we need to revisit and get a firm number on what that takes. And then if we need to act quickly on it, we can act quickly. I'd be happy to call a special meeting if we can get the numbers in order again and solidified what they are. To come back to the table and make a decision on that, confirm that Public Works, I think that was Public Works installation as
Well,
well.
that's what I was gonna ask AJ.
We're gonna have a different Public Works setup, in June. I think we need to firm that up. It's again, like to your point, it's experimental again, hopefully that works. We think it'll work.
Yep.
Seemed like it worked.
And I'm not talking.
There's just a lot of
AJ,
variables.
you got expertise since Mark's not here. I think there's a few of those diffusers available, but they had to build more. So I guess at this point, whatever ones we could just buy off the shelf, and maybe there's none on the
Was
shelf to
that
be bought.
the
but-
permanent aerator that have enough CFM to allow additional aerators? It does.
Yeah.
So we've effectively just be talking about additional aerators.
Basically,
Possible.
purchasing some areas in the pipe. And I think Public Works said they can do it.
But I thought your concern was you don't wanna aerate that Celadon pond because you stir it up more and you create more odor. I thought was your
Not
concern.
necessarily, no, you're stirring up the grit and sending it through the rad. And
Gotcha,
to
okay.
the point of the lift stations, changing your velocity. And realistically, you're not really, depending on the pump setup, you're not really sending grit through the air through a lift station necessarily. So I know you're trying to make a point about pumps and how the grit.
So you
goes
got,
through
you
those
got a
pumps.
legit point about the pumps. If they're not grit capable, then
They,
we're gonna.
I mean,
use
what's
pumps.
in there, they're designed for grit in a way, but effectively you're wearing them out faster if you're aerating that. If I don't think it's a good thing, I don't like the idea.
Agreed.
So,
You're creating more work for Public Works, is that?
so what
But
I,
I'm hoping it's only for 6 months, as long as the other setup works.
I'd be more apt to look at dredging. What's your thoughts on that? Dredging the current sediment pond now. And or look at some sort of a pumping system that takes cell one. I mean, I think you'd almost be better off to buy a pump and pump water from cell one into the sediment. Help that dilution factor and
Yeah, I think it's the same thing as what happens when the rain happens. That's why
Exactly.
though. Now, so
absolutely.
mechanically created a more consistent.
I mean, that
dilution.
would be something that Public Works could use forever. If you bought a 6-inch or 4-inch pump that they could do once a week, go out there, pump from cell one into the settling pond and hopefully reduce that anaerobic condition.
And that was part of with the modifications to contract documents. One of the things that was also changed was Public Works was going to pump down Lagoon One instead of having the contractor do that. So they're already planning, and that was didn't sound like any kind of burden on them to pump that down. So now they were gonna have a pump to pump down Lagoon One, so.
so what I'd like to do is I'd like to circle back to the intent of
The
like,
things we're talking about now, would they stop us from moving forward with
Well-
another bid?
let me, what I'd like to propose is we focus, get this done in the next, 10 business days. Jerry, can you convene, AJ, Craig, Zach and Mark Land if needed. Figure out what makes the most sense, quantify the cost and the execution. I'll call a special council meeting for us all to get back here and we'll make a vote then with the information that we have. But let's not try to solve it tonight with with opinions and no information at the moment. So
Does that mean?
I'm looking for
Move forward with.
I think we still move forward with this because this is the long-term fix.
This is just.
Okay.
He's just asking-
Solution has
Craig
nothing
just-
to do with the.
He just wants to fix it for this summer because this is a summer 27 solution that we're approving tonight,
Well, I'd
unfortunately.
like to move that we go ahead and accept the lowest bidder.
I'll second that.
And we got a second.
Mhm.
All those in favor, signify with the sign aye. Opposed, any abstentions? Okay,
Jerry, you're taking the action on getting.
you're gonna get that meeting in the next few weeks and gather those people. Did you get the list of the people?
Jay Craig,
AJ Craig, Mark, Zach and.
And I apologize, I know I'm trying to fine line and.
Nope, you're not.
Opting out of this since it's in my back.
I don't think anybody's ever ran for council who didn't care about something that had personal connections to it. We're moving now into the next section. Which this section here is
We have the public.
resolution. Oh, yeah, we gotta close it. Well, no, we already closed the public hearing.
You're opening a new.
You have to do the rezoning one.
We approved 52 and now we're opening the rezoning. Yeah, sorry.
Ordinance.
Okay, public hearing for rezoning request east 4.43 miles of the future absolute business park. A roll call.
I'm here.
Julie Weeks,
Yes.
AJ,
Here.
Joel,
Still here.
Russ,
Here.
Craig.
Here.
All right, anybody here to speak on the public hearing related to the rezoning? Any written comments related to the rezoning?
Negative.
What did you put down for that?
6:48.
All right,
It's 6:49 on the computer.
okay, it's 6:49 PM according to Lindsay, my lunch. We'll go back into the regular session.
Julie Weeks,
Here.
AJ Strumper,
Here.
Joel Newman,
Here.
Russ Turhart,
Here.
Craig Conley.
Here.
Okay, ordinance 320, rezoning of east 4.43 acres of property, ID number, blah, 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 future lot 2, absolute business park. Planning and zoning's reviewed and handled.
They recommended approval. To rezone lot 2 from A1 to C2, so it comes with.
I read this,
Oh, go ahead.
I read this twice and I don't have expertise in this. Is there any downsides that I'm just not smart enough to understand? I got zero expertise, so I'm always looking for. Is this all roses or is there thorns in here somewhere that I'm just not smart enough to see?
I don't think we'll ever know.
I mean, if you look at the neighborhood, you got. Light industrial zoning to the south.
It's making common sense to
And
me,
you
I
got
have
a
no issues, but I no
Pretty
expertise.
intensive, construction use to the west. And ag
Yeah.
on to the north, which is. Potentially planned for either commercial or industrial use. So this is really all about trying to create, a zoning change to accommodate the restaurant.
Going forward.
And-
Yeah.
Agreed, I just wanna make.
I don't think, yeah, I mean, I think as we analyze that area and you think about what the North 80 is gonna be, what's existing in there. I can't foresee a downsize, maybe if we were converting it to residential, you'd scratch your head, but I think segmented where it sits. It seems like a logical move.
Mhm.
And then there's a public hearing next week for all of the interested parties.
That's a different topic,
Oh,
I think.
okay.
So this is just the rezoning. So
That's all we're bidding.
Yep.
That's all
we got a motion to approve the rezone.
we're approve the rezon.
I'll second.
Second, any last discussion? All those in favor signify with the sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And any abstentions?
You want a motion and a second to waive the second and third?
They can definitely be part of this.
Yeah, that's right. Yes,
A motion to waive the second and third. Hearing.
I'll second.
reading.
Reading.
Okay, thank you for that correction.
Mhm.
Get it corrected me a little earlier. All those in favor signify with the sign aye of reading the first and waiving the second and third.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions. Okay. Ordinance and resolutions. Okay, this is resolution 53, setting time and date for public hearing, July 20th, 2026, 6 PM on ordinance 321. We're specifically setting the public hearing tonight for the July 20th meeting where public comment is welcomed and encouraged. And so is everybody good with setting it for that time?
Yeah, do you wanna move?
Yes, motion to.
Second.
All those in favor signify with the sign aye.
Alright.
Opposed? And any abstentions? Letter B, resolution 54, city match request $2,000 for home needs for the Story County facade grant. The grant obviously has to be in addition to, it has to be a grant, so this is what we're approving.
Funds, right.
This matches what Story County's offering for the facade.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor signify with the sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution 55 for Absolute Business Park plat. Approval of the resolution here for that plat. Does everybody have a copy of that plat and has seen it?
There's a copy of, essentially it's creating, two lots and an outlot. Lot 2 would be for the proposed restaurant, 4.81 acres. And the balance would be a little over 12 acres. And then, of course, the outline Z, which is the city's right of way, future right of way. Which is 70 by 400 feet in length. And they could extend the full width of that lot. To accommodate tax mats. 80 plus acres to the north. Such time when they're ready to develop that. And that would also provide access to the restaurant.
the motion?
Yes.
Second.
All those in favor signify with the sign aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution 56 from Marshall County landfill, the initial joining fee and documents related to entering into our agreement with Marshall County for the what's the right word? Disposal of our waste. For solid waste.
Same question I had last time, I'm not sure I got an answer. Never foresaw that Boone would kick us out. If Marshall does, it's a future date. Will you be able to have a fallback with Ames or? I don't know how.
We'd have to
these
request,
government-
we'd have to request out of Marshall County first and then request in.
Well, if they said, hey, we're not cutting you off anymore, would we go there? We'd have to go back to Ames or do another solution. I'll tell you, I went to the board of directors meeting for the Marshall County landfill with Jerry. They have, what do they say? They have over 100 years of capacity right now,
Yeah.
based on current projections and including the partners that they've let in. They have let in McCallsburg, Roland, Slater, Kelly. And there might be one more in the county, but they've let us all in. And they had over 100 years of capacity. It was unanimous to vote in favor of approval of adding us in.
Yeah.
In that meeting, they didn't talk like any concerns of capacity. There was questions related to if we ever got to this, would they be the ones to go? And it's like, well, yes, they'd obviously be the ones to go, but there was several on that group, which I've never been to I never thought I'd see myself at a landfill board meeting, but there was a lot of people with a lot of experience serving on the board, and they said very clearly, like, when you're a neighbor and you can help a neighbor and you have capacity that's not gonna interrupt you or cause problems for your residents, we need to lend a hand and help a neighbor. And so they were very great about it, but they expressed 100 years of capacity and no, concerns related to that. They do want to know what we're doing for recycling, and they want to know that we're reducing our waste
Okay,
through recycling. I'm not concerned about it today.
agreed, and,
And I don't think we need to worry about it for the future. I think,
okay, I just wanna make sure we have a backup plan, and I didn't know with all the, like us with Shell. Basically, we can't say no. Is Ames in that same situation if something happens to Marshall down?
no,
They
I
have to say yes.
I don't think so, but,
Oh, okay,
no, I don't think they can, I think they can say yes or no to us
okay,
in the future if we do this, but Nevada requested access to Marshall County landfill and was denied. They wouldn't take their waste. It's too big, too much, would cause an elevated rate of fill, so they were concerned about that, but they were okay with us, so.
okay,
We would have a seat on their board. There's like 30 some members
okay.
on their board.
And if you didn't see, there was a great article in the Iowa League of Cities magazine that comes out about how Ames is transitioning they're transitioning to a more sustainable future. Which is kind of interesting, but you should take the time to read it.
I have a question regarding, and can I ask anybody in the audience to answer it?
Why don't you just ask the question first?
Okay, well, I wanna know if, while I understand this is substantially less expensive than doing Ames, I wanna know from the hauler standpoint, is it gonna cost more to haul it there since it's farther than Ames? And do they care?
With the miles, yeah. There is a cost to that, but the disposal rate currently is cheaper than Ames.
Right,
Significantly, right?
So to offset that extra miles,
so is it gonna be a break even for individual in Slater, or are we gonna see a reduced fee in our hauling? I mean, if it's a wash,
I would say it's not gonna make a whole lot of difference, just because you got an hour over there and an hour back for an employee and extra fuel. And you're gonna save maybe 20% of your landfill fees, am I right? It's gonna,
64.
oh,
It's gonna be like.
I mean, this summer it's 85 and then it's going to 85 July 1st. So it'll be 64 over there.
You'll probably something that remediates your question. Ames is hauling to Jefferson, right?
Carroll
no,
County.
they're going Carroll.
So they're admittedly consolidated, probably the larger trucks, but they have to pay to haul it an hour also.
Yes.
Trucks.
Yeah, I think the incremental difference is like the risk of our costs going up through the Ames partnership or our costs going up through the Marshall County partnership is, I think it's high. There's a higher probability that Ames's costs go up from what they've proposed to us already because they're gonna build this transfer station, which is already over budget. They'll use diesel fuel and equipment to sort trash and to compact it and to then load it in trucks and then use diesel fuel to take it from Ames to Carroll County. So their reliance to me on diesel fuel to be able to get our garbage to the landfill versus the hauler's reliance on diesel fuel to get it to the landfill is a little less. Because they'll pick it up at the curb, crush it and take it there. There's not all the sorting and crushing and,
We're telling our haulers up front that they have more expense.
Ames is going to double handle the trash.
yes,
Compared to a direct haul to a landfill, and there's a cost to that.
yeah. And so I think we're telling them their cost is up front more, but they know their cost on the back end is less. Right? The Marshall County cost is less.
Okay.
We know it's in here, right? I thought I read something in here, the theoretical cost. Right,
And yeah, it's like 6 grand initial.
Right, yeah.
well, that one, but I'm talking about what we could be looking at from the hauler's perspective.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that in the discussion later about what we choose from a hauler perspective based on Marshall County.
Right, but are we putting the cart before the horse or reading this before seeing the actual rates?
No, we have the rates. And they were designed based on us being at Marshall County.
That's what I'm saying though. The rate. What are we looking at for rate from Ames versus?
Oh, we know the Ames.
I know what their tipping fee is, but what's the individual rate per resident?
That's.
Like
What
from
it is
Aspen
today,
For
What that-
recycling.
what it is today.
Yeah, what it's gonna be going to.
Well,
What
I
is
don't
it?
think they know that because they don't fully know what the finalized tipping fee is gonna be in the city of Ames yet, right? Is that fair? You guys have no idea what it's gonna,
This July, and it's gonna go up another minimum $10 next July, is what we've been told, correct?
Right.
It's gonna go up to $85 this July 1st. And then next July, they're projecting $95 after the new facilities open, but who knows if they'll get that built on budget, on time.
That's what I'm just curious of.
So I think-
Hey, if we were to take it to Ames versus residents.
well, I think you just kind of heard it. I think you just kind of heard it there. From my perspective is they know it's gonna go up $10 for them to dump it there.
15% this.
It's going up 14%. So your garbage bill, as it sits today, is gonna go up 14% in theory, if they pass it through to us. And then if it goes up again, it's another, you said to 90, that's another $10 on 8, that's another 12% the next year. So you're 26% in 2 years on the existing garbage costs, because I assume most of the garbage costs that the charges residents have here are what they can, the best they can do. So I'm reading it as like, there's a 26% cost increase coming to stay with Ames. And beyond, because they're not, it seems it wouldn't be prudent to assume that they're gonna come in and be under budget on this project or the cost to take trash there and back. Right? It is being completed by a public entity, so it'll definitely be over budget, right? So I think that's where we could design this based on what we knew Marshall County was gonna be. They'll increase, I'm sure, just like everything, but we're starting at a point that's a lot lower. And the other thing is, I think, have some leverage in this. We can't control what Ames's tipping fees are. But the leverage that we still hold in this is who do we use as a hauler? Do we bid it? Do we go one company? We'll continue to hold that leverage here to make that decision to try to offset that, but that's just a fixed cost they're stuck with at $94. So I think this gives us a little breathing room. You never know. But I think this is the best decision with the information we've been given. The research that Jerry's done, which is a lot, I think, to get and analyze. I think this is the best decision. And I think if you get to the next section, you'll see pretty clearly like the cost. This is all.
Make motion to approve resolution 56.
Second.
All those in favor signify with the sign aye.
I,
Opposed? Okay, any abstentions? All right, approved. We're moving now into the next item, which is now,
And trying to see it quick.
yeah. E, appointing resident 57, appointing interim public works director. Mark Estrom's last day, is July 3rd, so we're appointing an interim. Our interview, process, hiring process is gonna
Tuesday, the
Would-
23rd.
is gonna try to interview. If we have a special council meeting and we have the ability to move up the hiring process, we'll move the hiring process up, but this gives us the security between when our next scheduled council meeting is and when the departure of our existing public works employee is. The one adjustment in the resolution I've requested is in the 1, 2, 3, 4th whereas to remove the annual figure of 84 and move it to $40.38 an hour. And that's in that, instead of showing an annual number, show the hourly number. But outside of that, that's the only adjustment that I see. Is to reflect the hourly, not annual in both places.
Motion to approve.
second,
Question,
Yeah,
is it necessary in business? You just diversify the demands until you get the replacement in place.
It's planning ahead in case we need somebody to run the department and we don't get somebody hired.
When I lost a guy, I
We
got
have two
stuck, so I
candidates
guess
there.
I was looking
We
at,
have two candidates there.
Okay. so the
And if they decide that they don't.
the group can't work for you in the short term.
I'm
No, I
not
think-
Public Works Director.
no, I think
this is
it's,
way better having no person.
It's
Identified.
good planning.
Yep,
It's looking ahead.
I think it's doing the right thing by the employee. I
Okay,
think it's doing the right thing by the employee as well,
and
to step up.
if Zach doesn't, sorry, if the interim position doesn't get.
It's public record, Zach Smith.
If Zach doesn't get the permanent position, then his wages go back down.
Yeah, it's an interim based role. It's an interim role.
Okay, just wanna make sure I'm not using that either.
And if Zach were to be hired for the position, would this be his theoretical wage?
The recommendation would be that it would be a little higher. We looked at the salary range for that position and it's like 78 entry level to I think around 105. And so 88,000 was about the middle range.
That really has nothing to do with this motion though, right?
No, that's more of a hiring based decision.
When I made,
Yeah.
That's right.
I moved to, and
We got a second.
Did we get Joel a second? All those in favor signify with the sign aye.
I,
Opposed? Perfect. All right, so now we move to. By the time I'm done doing this, I'm gonna need reading glasses.
Yeah.
All right, F, resolution 58, setting date of consultation, June 23rd, 2026, 9 AM, public hearing. June 23rd, 6 PM on proposed amendment number 3, Slater Commercial Industrial Urban Renewal Plan for Slater, Iowa. City of Slater, Iowa, state of Iowa. So this is setting the date for the consultation on that amendment.
so moved.
Discussion?
Only just clarification, what's the difference between this resolution 58 and the ordinance 320 we did before?
Wait a second, just tell me where you're at. The 320 is the rezoning.
Good.
This is an amendment to the urban renewal plan. So what this is, do you want to speak to this, Matt, since you're here, just what
No.
the activity
I
we're
got
doing
two
is?
different things. I
Okay,
got it.
maybe just for the public and for the rest of the council, since you're here and you've come here, you can explain what it is we're doing. Why we're doing an amendment, what the amendment affords us the right to do, and why the process to do it.
So to use tax increment financing to provide incentives and to use the mechanism that the state provides. You have to have an urban renewal plan, you have to have an urban renewal area. What that does is it redirects property taxes from the county and school district to certain economic development activities of the city. And so that's why you have to have a consultation. Any of those other municipalities that are affected. And so there's typically a 30-day notice for the public to amend the urban renewal plan. And you have to, in the urban renewal plan, you've got to call out specific projects that you're gonna use this tax increment financing for. And so to this process, so to do a development agreement, which is discussion later and then later in the agenda, I feel like the barbecue restaurant, you have to amend your urban renewal plan to lay out all of those potential debts that you're gonna have. And so you just gotta do all of the things in the right orders. And then later this fall, the city will decide how much TIF revenue it wants in the fiscal 28 budget, which then sets the valuations for your property taxes for your general fund for fiscal 28. And so, you know, part of the reason that PFM hasn't been engaged, because there's a lot of experience with TIF, we do a lot of TIF modeling. And not only do the TIF decisions matter, but they cascade into the city general fund budget. And there's the new Senate file 2472, the state just passed, and we'll talk about that. The TIF decision will play into the city's budget, you know, in a major way. So just thinking strategically about that and where you take the new construction growth versus the valuation growth, how much flexibility you have. So that's kind of a, I guess, high level. Will be the last that you hear from us probably, but we'll work closely with Jerry and Lindsay to kind of build out some cash flows so that you can see, you know, some of the 1-year, 15-year decisions that you're making in terms of finance that affect your budgets year in, year out.
Thank you. Yep. And one question that I just clarified is with the urban renewal and the pathway, this is what we've talked about is the funding mechanism to backfill the debt that we certify against ourselves. This is a fast way to do that in a short period of time. The urban renewal plan can be amended as we finish capital improvement planning and we designate the other projects that need to be executed, and we view this as a viable tool to help finance them. We'll come back and re-amend this urban renewal plan to help make way to utilize those funds. So this isn't I just want to be clear, like this is an execution of amendment for a road expansion, a project, incentive, business commercial project, a road and land purchase. But we'll be able to use this tool as we refine our capital improvement plan.
And the consultation is for the county and.
That's for them to come and say they don't want don't take them. Yeah. Exactly.
And the school district.
Yes, we do have a first and a second there, if I remember right. And so we'll call the vote if there's no other questions. All those in favor signify with the sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And any abstentions? All right, perfect. Moving on, we're resolution 59, approving and authorizing execution of LMI housing fund agreement for private development between the city of Slater and Homes by Advantage. We talked about this, we've approved all this. Is there questions? This is the official approval of it.
Make the motion.
Second.
My questions, we're still gonna fund this out of LMI instead of.
Yes.
But I know that's the last plan, that's still gonna be.
Yes, and in fact, did you want to comment, Matt? Just,
Yeah, so you have LMI dollars that have been generated by previous TIP activities. You have to use those for low and moderate income. This is an eligible place to use that. It's an efficient way for the city to take money that it can't spend on anything but that, and spend it here to meet the project.
and then can you just touch on just the going forward, like what our LMI funds gonna look like going forward? And so like, based on the legislation and what we know today.
Yeah, so the Senate File 2472 essentially removed the LMI requirement from state law moving forward. So any residential market rate housing, residential used to have an LMI requirement, it no longer will have required. So you won't continue to generate this money, but you still have to dispose of that money with the intent under the old law. And so there's various ways to go about it. They all have some type of administrative burden because you have to prove as a city that that money was collected and now it's gonna benefit low and moderate income. There's lots of cities who have done lots of different things, but we talked in great length, I think, last week about, different things cities have done, to help with that, so. But yeah, the thing of this project is a good use of that money. But we won't have to collect new TIF increment to generate this, we already have the $1 there.
And you have approximately 150,000 sitting in your home.
Just worried about whether we should be collecting the additional tip on it.
Question was regarding that is on existing TIF. So that would go away or would it stay in place for the existing TIFs?
Our attorney confirmed that our wording is positioned in a way that it speaks to as legally or as legally required or something. And I know she might be on. Yeah, Jenna's on here right now. But the wording in our agreements, Jenna, can you hear us?
Hi, yes, I can hear you.
Did you hear the question about our existing residential TIF agreements where we did have to reserve LMI and set it aside? You mentioned that our wording in the agreement says something that will not require us to do that based on the way the development agreements were written or the urban renewal plan was established, right?
Right. I think there's now, I mean, there's this area of the law or how we interpret the law change will still be evolving over the next few months, I'm sure. But I think the city is in a good position to say that you no longer need to collect LMI set aside dollars. So you no longer need to take some of your TIF revenue and put them into the LMI fund. Instead, you could use 100% of the available TIF revenues within those market rate residential urban renewal areas to provide incentives or help finance the actual urban renewal project that you're undertaking in that area. So, I think if the city wants to revisit it at some point, if you're wanting to support LMI housing projects, we could certainly look at if there's a possibility of putting money into the LMI housing fund in the future. But the city also has the ability to just authorize an LMI housing project as its own urban renewal project. So when other LMI housing projects present themselves in the future, we can discuss a few options for them.
Thank you.
So effectively what that means, Jenna and Matt, since you guys are here, is in the existing development agreements we have, if we don't set aside the money for the LMI fund, that increment's now available to pay back the development agreement debts that we've committed to. So it's a faster rate of payback, which hopefully opens a window of time where there's available funds for the city to amend and utilize in an additional in another fashion. In theory.
So retroactive, we can go back to old agreements.
Yes, not old, but just existing.
Right, yeah.
So for example, we have two residential developers in the room right now, but they're owed TIF funds. Because we don't have to set aside the 30 or 40% we were set, is that the right number? It's somewhere around that.
It's 48.
But that percentage, depending on the percentage that was put into the agreement based on the LMI, we no longer have to take that increment and funnel it to LMI. We could take that increment and pay the developers back sooner, which opens up a horizon on the end of the TIF, hopefully, as long as we didn't allow the TIF, our reimbursement TIF, our development agreement pay more than what will ever be generated now, but in theory, it should have been designed in a way where the percentage that we utilize.
Right.
The percentage less LMI fund was enough to pay them back in the time period. Well, now we can accelerate that time period by a 30, 40, 50% increased rate on an annual basis. And in hopes it would open up a window at the end where if we had an identified project, we could amend and create, depending on a lot of legal things in terms of how it's classified, the type of urban renewal area and all those things. I threw that in there for you, Jenna. Did you notice that? Depending on the legal opinion.
Yes, no, I appreciate that. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that most or all of the city's residential development agreements were written to indicate that the city would use 100% of the available TIF revenue to fund the incentives to the developers, less the amount that the city legally had to set aside for LMI housing. So with the removal of the Iowa Code requirement to provide that LMI housing assistance, you can use 100% of the available TIF revenue to probably effectively pay off these development agreements sooner. And then the city could look at if there's other eligible urban renewal projects to authorize in an urban renewal area. which would require an amendment to the relevant urban renewal plan, similar to the amendment to the commercial industrial urban renewal plan that you just discussed.
One question I have is, Jenna, under the old law, they certified the LMI in December of 25 for fiscal 27. So does that action certify the LMI dollars so that fiscal 27, they'll still have to fund the LMI money because that's how they certified it? Whereas then moving forward in December of 26 for fiscal 28, the LMI requirement would go away. And we don't have to answer that today, but that's a question that I have. And
We're probably waiting on the ways and means of how the bill's gonna be enforced, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, and I'll put that on my list to discuss with the other Allers attorneys, because I think that's something we need to figure out. But I think legally they're already effective May 18th, 2026. Legally, there is no requirement to set aside TIF revenue for that LMI housing assistance because that Iowa code requirement has been wholly deleted from the law. But practically speaking, we'll have to figure out how to address prior debt certifications for that.
Perfect, thank you. Did we call that vote yet, though? We didn't.
No.
59. All those in favor signify with the sign aye. Opposed? And any abstentions? Resolution 60, Prairie Creek Townhomes Plat 1. Everybody has the plat. Everybody's hopefully familiar with where this is at. Huh?
Yeah, we're doing,
60?
that's H.
The next H, sorry, then H in discussions is the removed one. Doug, I know is here, but everybody has the plat, right? I think. Doug, maybe you just could share just quick, you guys are getting ready to build something there. We're approving the plat. I know the past councils approved or the zoning for this type of project. Can you just shed light on what the project will end up
Well,
being?
basically, it's the first lot, it's the first piece in plat 8 of the Prairie Creek, where we'll have a fourplex. Then the plat 9 will have 2 fourplexes, and then plat 10 will have 3 more fourplexes. It'll be 24 down. Basically, they're about 1,400 feet apiece. They're 2-car attached garages, 2 bedrooms. 0 entry, ramp down.
Perfect.
Only question I have is, and again, no expertise in housing. It would be the lot in the southeast corner, has no direct street access. Is that pretty typical of townhomes?
It's
Well-
access off of 4 miles.
If you look on that plat, on the plat there, the second page of the plat indicates the road there. There will be, Doug will put a road that runs north and
That
south
is a road,
between.
I just thought that was an alley or. an
Yeah,
access.
this right here will be an access
It'll
point.
be a private drive.
It'll be a private drive there.
And that's what I didn't know is, I was trying to mentally go through, do we have, whether it's fire, EMS, I'm not sure what all, I just wanna make sure that we're not.
Yeah,
not thinking this
there
through.
will be a paved driveway there to get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then at some point, there will be, what Doug's saying is at some point in the future, there'll be
Another,
the same on the east side of that road.
that's right.
And
then
that's
there'll be
what-
another drive.
Okay,
And then ultimately we'll end up clear down.
okay,
the way.
and that's pretty typical for townhome setups. They don't have to have direct street access.
Yeah.
Two of them do, 2 of them have access.
Yes,
off of
3
4 Mile
of them,
Drive.
3 of them, actually.
2 of the 4 have direct access to 4 Mile Drive. And
Yep.
2 will have access to the private drive.
Yeah, and that's typical.
Just a longer
For
driveway.
townhomes, it's
Okay,
pretty
that's
typical.
just making sure. Okay. Then no objections for me.
You have a motion? Motion to approve.
All those in favor signify with the sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And any abstentions? Thanks, Doug. Discussion section. I told you we'd go to the 321 Main Street mural. Jerry, do you wanna just? You guys read the letter. I think the ultimate question here, right, is we're supposed to be hearing back at any time from the grant that they applied for. The question that's being asked here, and the reason we pulled this out of the consent agenda is just so that the council's aware. The question they're asking is if they are greenlit to begin the work on that. 3 21 Main Street, where the project was identified, that's been transparent to everybody. But the question is to begin, what is not, and I believe we've agreed to provide some matching funds for it. We committed to the matching funds of the grant. The question is, the grant result is not back.
Correct.
So approving the beginning of the work, and I'm for this, obviously, but approving the beginning of the work leaves us in question if for some reason the grant comes back in a piece of it, or that there will be a grind or a hustle to backfill that, or we will be discussing how to backfill it. So
I need the dollar figure, so we know what to do.
Yeah, the grant was for 10,000 and then city committed 10,000.
20,000 a year. Worst comes to worst, we're in for 20 instead of 10.
Do we know a date, when we could expect to know about the grant?
I don't know the exact date.
Mhm.
Says they'll have plan to provide a more accurate funding request amount to the city council during the July council meeting. I think the only thing at this point is the timeline they wanted to be done was during the art harvest tour,
This fall.
and that is in the fall, right?
September.
So I believe the work that Sean wanted to get started on relates to kind of mapping it out on the wall, penciling or chalking out the design on the wall. So the question is just like being transparent to the council. We could be starting on something that, puts us in a position where there's an unexpected bill. And so if the council's not comfortable with it, the council's not comfortable with it. And we can push this to the July 20th meeting, but that will obviously push back some deadlines, but we need to be prudent, obviously, because it is $20,000.
I think they're also wanting to know, like, what wall is supported to do the mural, which I think has.
I think that's clear.
I think that's.
I think they say it right in here on the west side of the building.
It's always been the west side. You can get the window in.
I think that's why we set it up that way, yeah. So I think we're good there, but we can clarify. The question is just, what do you want to do? Do you want to say, hey, yeah, go ahead, begin penciling and then figuring out, working with private donors to fundraise the money? You've got the 10 from the city. Or do you want to say, we'd like to know what the grant comes back as and then go from there?
Nobody knows what the deadline is. Administrator.
I don't know the answer to that.
Qualify for this. 15 days left.
Well, that's no,
Oh, well, she said there was 15 days left for the deadline.
for the
Oh,
$50,000,
okay.
and the rest of them, the grants aren't due until September 30th.
No, all right,
And they're awarded in November.
okay.
And yes, you could apply for it, but you would not be doing it until next year.
I struggle with it, but at the end of the day, I think they got supporters, so even if they don't get this grant, I think they'll get some additional cash donations. We're already in for 10, I don't think we'd have to pay the other 10, but. I
Already voiced my concerns, so.
get mine the same. I guess the way to move this forward is I move we do it. And don't wait.
Yeah.
We'll have to vote and decide, but
I'll just approve that.
then we'll pick up the tab if they can't. We'll pick up full 20 if they can't find the other.
Figure it out.
They'll find some of it anyway.
That's my hope.
Right.
Yep. I think they're supporters of the mural.
Yeah.
That second house.
I'll second it.
All right,
They're over there.
no other comments,
Oh,
so
no, we're just doing open.
I'm just making sure there's no other comments. All those in favor signify with the sign aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Abstention,
Nay.
Julie's nay. Abstentions, perfect, all right. Now we'll go to A, discussion and consideration of engagement letter for amendment 3 to the commercial industrial urban renewal area plan. This is the engagement letter for them to be able to execute all this. The amendment includes these costs to be covered in there up to a maximum amount. If you read the amendment, there's a maximum allowable in each category, and that's the maximum allowed in the categories. We did put something in here to cover, and we can utilize the TIF to repay, certify the debt against ourselves and repay it through those TIF funds if we choose to. So this agreement could be something we pay for that way as well. Questions about this one?
Yeah. The up to numbers add up to 600 grand, which is a significant increase. But there's no, in the original loan statements about, the requirements for forgivable.
Yeah.
So I don't know where this stands in, and then tax abatement.
Yeah, great questions.
So what are we actually committed to here?
What we're committing to right now is to creating the funding pathway to certify the debt and recuperate it through TIF should we choose to, the council choose to.
Okay.
In the urban renewal agreement, that amendment, those figures are not to exceed figures.
Yep.
So the figure that you see and you reference up to $600,000, we can't exceed those expenses and then recover them through TIF. So the tax abatement, we talked about this a lot, Matt, because I was asking them about, in the governor's bill, there's a 2% cap on revenues, growth, right? That we capture on existing property. New construction is uncapped. And we get to assume that full amount in the first year. We talked at the last council meeting about abatement, and I sensed there was a very strong, this is a really big strategy that if we open this and get going, we don't know where, how, or what, we're not ready to do in a tax abatement structure.
Mm-hmm.
It was recommended by PFM that there is a pathway to use a tax rebate in lieu of tax abatement. In the tax rebate format, it calculates and runs this very similar to what the abatement would. The property owner pays the taxes, and once those taxes are paid, they're rebated through the TIF arrangement. At the same time, right, that's like growing the TIF district. And you're paying out of that to pay back. So it's an avenue, and that's why the figure on the top one goes from the 200 that we agreed to the 275, is that's accounting for delivering on the abatement promise, but not using abatement as the tool, using rebate, TIF rebate as the tool. So that's why that number is that allowable number, is so that if we choose to honor that and do that, we can. The reason there's nothing in this about what the proprietor has to do, what Boxcar Barbecue has to do, is because this isn't the agreement with them. The agreement with them will be executed in a development agreement that spells out all the terms that we have agreed to and approved to this point.
Okay. So we'll avoid because I think that's the next item.
So effectively,
the loan, and in Tanya's defense, kind of leaves her hanging out to dry in the interim.
We will,
Because we're canceling one without actually putting another one in its place.
there will be a revised development agreement that backfills that and outlines the same
Agreed.
commitments that we've agreed to, and that this council controls, following through on those. Tanya's aware of the pathway we have to go in order to create the legally use the financing mechanism that's most attractive. We moved the cart in front of the horse, and then the cart couldn't move, and so now we've decided to move the horse back in front of the cart and line ourselves up to be effective here, the most effective with the tax dollars that we can to benefit the community based on this project.
You gotta do the urban renewal plan amendment and then do the developer agreement.
I understand that part. It's just right now that kind of leaves the business owner in a wide open position that.
I trust the city council, I trust the mayor, so.
All right, then I understand.
Yeah. So there'll be a development agreement we pinpoint with that. Is there any questions about approving this or a motion to approve the? Yes, please.
So move forward with the engagement letter.
Perfect.
Second.
All those in favor signify with the sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, this is just obviously terminating that original agreement, right? So that it no longer exists and the creation of the development agreement can occur.
Motion.
Second, sorry.
All those in favor signify with the sign aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Just to reiterate, for those that are online or are gonna watch this back, this doesn't mean the project's off. This means we're following a different process to execute the project. Discussion, consideration of site plan for Boxcar Barbecue. Jerry, P and Z met on it. I know, I'll be the first to say this site, this site has turned into a quite challenging location in hindsight, with the county drain tile that runs diagonal through it that has 100-foot easement. And then, we had an abstract that came back that wasn't quite updated as it should have been. There's a sewer easement on the eastern, part of the eastern size, which we've now found. And are getting rectified, but was not for some reason filed or executed or was missing from the abstract for it. So the site, it's safe to say, I think the site has evolved dramatically, which has altered and changed design dramatically, I think, from what was envisioned day one. But they've presented the site plan to planning and zoning, Jerry comments, and then obviously Tanya, Ron, if you guys have come.
Yeah, they recommended that it be approved. Minor comments from the city's engineer that they're working through. The biggest thing I think is the stormwater retention basins, which is on kind of the south central area of the site. They're proposing to relocate those to the east side of the site, east of the 5,600 square foot building. I think that's the biggest thing for the most part. They are showing an excessive amount of parking. The city's ordinance only just borders 19 spaces. And they're showing 125 spaces. So quite a few more than what the minimum is. But the site plan does show paid parking, including the handicap accessible spaces on the west side of the building. I think because they are showing excessively more than what the minimum requirement is, they'd like time to pave this over a 10-year period. Again, the access would be off of the paved city street, showing 2 accesses into the paved parking space, which transcends into the 5,600 square foot building with about 1,400 covered outdoor space, outdoor green space for kids. There's an area to the east for outdoor entertainment. They include the access off of the High Trestle Trail, which will be used for pedestrians and golf carts. They also show some parking spaces for golf carts.
The only thing I would just jump in and add is, in order to do what they've done, I think one of the latest updates on this project is in order to do anything over the county drain tile, it takes a bunch of special approvals and processes. And there's a high likelihood that the drain tile authority, the board that's the authority over the drain tiles, will not allow a concrete parking lot over the top of the drain tile. So there's a chance that a part of that parking lot, the larger portion of the parking lot, could remain or be gravel to some extent based on what obviously the drainage tile boards allow to be placed on top of the tile. So that's kind of a to be determined based on what they say, based on the authority they have over it. So I just want to put that out there.
But it sounds like a lot of this will have to change based on the retention pond to move to the east.
Not a lot, just the drainage plan, but they're proposing to shift it from the south central to the eastern portion of the site.
Using kind of more of the natural waterway on the east side today. To try to flow to the corner. Because they've got to divert the water on the north side to the east and then down that ditch.
Right.
To that corner. And they're gonna have to have the ability to detain it for a certain period of time to release it at the rate required by our.
No, I understand that part.
SUDAS.
If they were moving those retention ponds, because there's 2 of them on south, right?
Yeah, and to be honest with you, Tanya could speak to this, but one of those retention ponds, right, was designed as an avenue to gather dirt. To help build the site is part of it, a big part of that.
Scabbers Pond, okay.
Are you with Belts?
I am.
Okay, do you want to speak to this site?
Yeah,
Well, I do have an updated grading plan that I can share with you guys that are outlines, if I may approach.
yeah, please. Nobody will tackle you here, don't worry, we're not that.
My
important.
council meetings, you have to ask.
Mhm.
You could see here, all that water coming down from the north, coming around.
Okay.
This little bit here is still showing us potentially if we need to gather some dirt to raise some things, but if we don't need to, then that will be reduced and we'll just keep it coming right down this west, east side, so.
Okay,
Do we have any sort of a phasing schedule that we could be privy to?
So, then we gotta
Like,
come around.
This, I know they talked about it, just to kind of stage some of the build out, just kind of curious as to what we could expect,
yeah, this, when we build,
hold on, just, sorry, Tanya, hold on just a second, I just don't want you to have to, I don't want the. Let's see if you guys finish here,
Yeah. All right.
Nope, no problem, it's a great question, maybe they'll look at it. AJ, if you'd repeat the question, sorry.
We won't look at it.
Yeah.
Well, coming around this
Yeah.
way. That's still kind of bigger and it's still under. So, then that'll get smaller.
What's that need for the,
Welfare path is still up here. Coming in the.
you got ditched here. So,
There'll be some sort of over. Or something going across that there. Yeah. I think that. That.
yeah, AJ,
is part of the road.
figure out the golf cart path together, Taylor and I discussed that, how we're
I
going.
think that's always been, yeah.
That's always been what we've said, is we would tackle that together,
Yep.
later, but to your question. When we plan to open, I mean, there's been a lot of things changed today, of course, with Boone County and Story County with the district tile. So, we're gonna build the restaurant and hopefully the parking lot. And, right now, it's probably in question about the mini golf, because they're even being questionable about the gravel parking lot. So to put mini golf in would be. Like, Slater's gonna have to solve it if we're going to develop to the north, because you're gonna go across that district tile with that road. So a city solution for stormwater is going to be needed in the future, so. I think that will determine how soon I develop the rest of that property, because if I can't do anything over that tile, that's too hard. Yep.
my only request with the gravel was making sure you had adequate approach to not let that gravel track out. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
yeah,
So,
our, between our site engineer and our dirt guys, that, it'll be hard for someone to not think that that's concrete when we get done. Cause we're gonna put class A with the minus on top when we get done, and that packs down so hard that it's almost like concrete. But it is gravel legally and, according to the DOT, everything, it's gravel. We don't want high wheels get stuck.
Is that the type of place this is?
No, it's not.
This is a barbecue joint.
All state, I'm barefoot.
Don't tell the state.
Yeah.
I'm kind of barefoot. Okay, is there more questions on that? Site plan? Tanya, timeline, can you just give a brief update to timeline? There's obviously a lot of chatter and excitement.
Yeah, we thought that this was our last hurdle, honestly. And that it would just be a waiver that was signed with the county for the district tile, but that's not the case. We've not been talking to them for like 3 months. Now I've submitted an application today and it has to go through a process. They say they need 30 days. Goes before 2 boards, Story and Boone, because this is a shared district. And so it's kind of convoluted. So I'm not sure when it's gonna get started, but it's my number 1 ticket on my scrum board.
All right, thank you, Tanya. Okay. Motion, anybody?
So moved.
Second,
All those in favor signify with the sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? All right, moving into revised quotes from garbage haulers for garbage and recycling services. If I could just remind everybody, this started a long time ago when we started based on the topic of, thank you all, thank you. This started a long time ago when we started on the topic of, what are we gonna do regarding recycling? The residents of Story County are gonna be surprised when they're all forced to recycle now. What is Slater gonna do to address recycling? At that time, I think we got some different bids. We looked at Ames's proposal, we did all that. Council directed Jerry to go back and get kind of a recycling proposal. That I think opened more discussion about, okay, well, what, should we look at now? Is now the time to look at going to one garbage provider? Is there an economy of scale by doing that to get better pricing on both? What's the right move? Jerry, could you pull it all together? Could you bring it to us and give us some information related to that? So we sit here today, I think, and I think we have we had 3 different respondents. All respondents serving in the community today and all respondents aware that our trash will have to be hauled to Marshall County. So now I think, kind of a decision is upon us as to which direction we want to go. And so with that said, Jerry, if there's things you'd want to add, please add, otherwise discussion's open.
We have representatives here. Be good to hear from them. We have representatives from AP sanitation and garbage guys.
Yeah, I don't know. You probably did either of you come prepared to share anything, or do you want to, or?
Just if there was any questions from council, Dave Massey, open sanitation, and we've been in business for 30 years and we've served the community for multiple years. Any changes in that there, as far as, if you lose the inflections, with our proposal, it had some different options for city cleanup and what have you there, so.
He's been in business a lot longer than we have. We've been around about 8 years, most of you know. This is our hometown community. We enjoy doing business here, but I understand business is business. I don't really care if there's a city contract one way or the other. I think you really need to make sure that your residents in your town are on board with it. Ames has just went to an all recycling contract, and the people on the City of Ames page are having a fit because the city's using services for them that they don't think they need, and they're having to do business with companies they don't care for. And I'm sure there's people in town that don't care for garbage bags. And if they're forced to do business with a company, I think that it irritates a lot of people that when their choices are being taken away from them. So I think that's just something you have to consider. I mean, whatever you guys decide in the long run is up to you. I mean, it's up to the council, but I think you should get a feel for what your residents really want and, what they're willing to do.
Did you get some feedback? There was a survey that you. Yes, I don't know. Yeah, there was a survey that last year put together. We've got under 1,600. We had 70 respondents. Respond to 2 questions. One is, which option would you prefer? Option 1 was for the city to work with an entity to provide a single dumpster to recycle various materials. Would you support that? That was option 1. Or option 2, to have curbside recycling, and 64% supported the dumpster, a single source dumpster over the curbside recycling. So it was 64 to 35%. And the other question really dealt with whether or not they supported having a single hauler or having the choice to make the choice themselves. And 18% supported having the city the council make that decision, go with one hauler. 81% supported having the ability to make that choice. But again, that was 70 responses of 1,566 people.
I know the single hauler is a hot topic, but infrastructure wise, I think it makes sense because you've got one hauler in town versus multiple. Just that much less stress on your roads. But I do understand the fact of not taking away somebody's ability to do things on their own. So I struggle with that. But obviously I'm an advocate for infrastructure, so.
What's the cost savings?
With the snows,
Yeah, so I'll pick garbage guys for example, if they were to say. Everybody does their own round. Versus we get the entire city contract. If
yeah.
it was in here, I missed it.
Yeah, garbage guys provided two options. One is where they would be the sole source and they would provide the service for solid waste for $14.50 a month. And recycling at $4.50, but there would be a fuel fee of $400 a month. Compared to option B, which is, it would be $21 for solid waste for the current customers that they have. And then they would provide recycling services for $4.50 citywide. But the residents would be able to choose whomever they wanted to work with. So if you were a current customer of Garbage Guys, it would be $25.50, correct? So that's Garbage Guys.
Versus 19.
But we would handle all the paperwork, we would do all the extra, we would do all the billing still, it would be just like business as usual. That Garbage Guys provides right now, because I know that with the city contract, there's a lot of, people calling extras, you have to have someone field those phone calls, and I mean, Lindsay's by herself in the office most days, I think, she does, you do have someone to
I
help?
do have a part-time, yeah, another person.
So, I mean, there's a lot of administrative things that go on with the city contract, and also. Typically you get a cheaper price, but you don't get as much for your money. Most contracts are built or bid where you just get what's in your hand. You can't put extras out you gotta pay for everything extra that you put outside.
Yep, so it's, if you had the entire city, it's $19 with recycling
Correct,
and it's 25.
or what's in the can.
Yep, and it's 25 if you did. Everybody individually.
Right, and we would pay and then the city would pay the landfill fees for, in addition to the $19.
Oh, okay.
We would pay the landfill fees with the other options.
Okay, so I'm with AJ, I would prefer citywide because less trucks, less road damage, all those things. But I want a sales pitch of, you'll save 20%, that's what I was trying to get to.
So by law, we have to take lowest bid. Just remember that.
Responsible.
Yep.
I think the other thing is, it's just.
I was just using it as an example
Yeah,
of.
so I'll just say this, I'm totally opposed to going to one garbage hauler.
Yeah.
So I will vote no every time. Just I'll be upfront and nothing's gonna change my mind.
Okay.
The structure I get, but. Show me the stats on the roads. Maybe you change my mind, but I don't know.
I was just trying to figure out the price advantage, that's all I was getting to.
Is,
Was how, because we gotta have something to sell them besides just your roads will be better. If you can save 20%, then I guess sales.
Sure.
Well, and Ankeny Sanitation submittal for trash, garbage and recycling was $20 a month.
And that was for house by house, or if they had the whole city?
Right, the entire city.
Okay.
I think at this point, it would be best to leave it to the residents' own option, being we're so green into this new waste hauling avenue. And not decide on. But it's ultimately gonna be the recycling portion of it is what we need to decide there.
Yep.
I agree, we're not gonna mess with going to a single hauler at this point in time until we understand. Both what our new fees are gonna be, plus adding the recycling.
yeah,
I think
I
it's
just-
gonna be a learning curve for us too, I mean, a little bit, we're used to traveling 9 miles to Ames to get rid of Slater's garbage, and now we're gonna be going. I don't know how far it is, a little bit of a jaunt,
just bid it at 18 miles.
that will be.
It's more like 12.
Paula spoke just a little bit about what she submitted. Did you want to speak to? what
No,
you
it's just
submitted?
our bid is what it is. I mean, it's all in. $20 for garbage and recycling. If residents do have extras. To phone our office on what they have, whether it's a mattress or a couch or whatever. To prepay for that, and we would do a work order. For our truck to pick them up, depending on what it is.
Yeah. Do you know, I mean, this is something that in little towns is a big thing, and non-related, but necessarily to the specific bid, but do you know, has Ankeny Sanitation provided, do they provide support to the city's Fourth of July, or do you guys do any charitable work in the city of Slater? Have you?
Much of charity, as far as giving back. The different, local, community organizations there.
Okay, like, but in Slater right now, do you guys do any, do you know?
We've been in the parade, I know,
Okay,
you know, with that, what their fund is, I don't know. right off.
Yeah. okay. Paula, do you guys, do you contribute to the?
Try and give something to everyone that sends us a letter. I mean, any of the community things that are going
Yeah.
on. I mean, it's not a lot. I mean, sometimes it's not a lot, but we do want to know that, you know, we want to help them as much as we can.
Yeah.
I mean, we got the library and the fire station, and you know, the different things that you have in town here, and even to some of the sports teams and the schools, and you know.
Yeah.
You could give money away every single day if you wanted to, so
Yeah, I think that's the hard part, and that's something just in my stance, I don't agree with the one hauler as well, just because I think in these small communities, you want to keep as much donor activity as you can to these causes because you need it, and if you go to one hauler and you get into this bidding process, that I would bid this so thin as a business to try to win the business, that then when they came to ask for something, there's not a capacity, you know, the giving capacity is so strapped that I think it's important. And if you talk to any fundraiser in our community, from the library group of people to somebody else, to the Little League or the soccer club, we don't have enough organizations to go ask money for. So I hate to alienate any business that could potentially support the nonprofits or the community organizations that we have. Because that funding is critical. Even if it is smaller amounts and you can't identify it off the top of your head, it's critical.
So we need to tackle the recycling question though.
Yeah, so the question then just becomes recycling, and I think
Follow-up question there. You guys went to Marshalltown. Will they accept a central location as you said they have recycling requirements? Will they accept a standard or a central location?
well,
Or do they need?
our recycling may not go to Marshall County. That would be up to the hauler where they take our recycling. I think the facility, there's an Ankeny facility, right? That you could take.
shoot hand.
There's,
It's in Des Moines.
Okay,
so we, utilize the same facility.
Okay. I thought you said Marshalltown said we had to have a recycling program.
we have to, the county, the DNR, we have to validate we're diverting from the landfills.
So I'll change my question. So does the DNR and the county accept a central location in Slater? rather than-
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But I think both of them can speak to like. Your experience of community-wide recycling being a location or a dumpster for community recycling.
You're talking about the success of
The
it?
community dumpster, as far as with contamination,
Yeah,
we really need to cut down the size, you know. We get complaints, we have a few drop offs here and there. If it gets too user friendly with openings. It's too user friendly because it ends up with everything.
Yeah.
With that, you mentioned Carroll County, the landfill where Ames is currently going, they discontinued all of the drop containers.
yep,
Contamination, a year or two ago. With that. So,
okay,
I think the last meeting they mentioned possible having a drop container. As far as having cameras on that or some surveillance or whatever. Because they do turn into a trash dumpster, not a recycling
There's
dumpster.
just a lot of illegal dumping going on right now because everything's expensive and people aren't paying their garbage bill and they have to get rid of it somewhere.
yeah. So I think from councils, I know Craig was kind of going down that community-wide dumpster route, I think, is where I was reading him to be headed. I think the only thing that's missing to like, we have, Garbage Guys gave us a kind of a à la carte more type proposal. Ankeny Sanitation, I think, gave us kind of a bundled proposal. So I don't think we know like what the recycling rate would be for Ankeny Sanitation for just citywide recycling.
Recycling has to be citywide. I don't get to choose as an individual,
That's right.
who I use for recycling, correct?
We gave that in. Yeah.
We do recycling, but it's a lot more expensive than what you do in the city. We charge $20 a month to recycle for people to recycle right now because some people are so adamant about recycling. And these little towns don't have a recycling program, so we started a recycling program, but
Yeah.
when you have one house here and the next house you're recycling is 10 miles away, you have to make it expensive because it takes time and fuel to get there. So we charge them $20 a month to recycle.
In all reality, recycling has to be city.
I've asked for something in writing.
So basically the difference in, so I was wrong, we do have a number from Ankeny Sanitation, sorry, last page of the memo. What we're talking about, Craig, is a can, an individual can at locations versus a centralized location, just because they both spoke to the contamination related to an individual dumpster turning into a nightmare.
See that?
So we're talking about an individual can for each resident. So basically that last page is garbage guys, all residents, $4.50 twice a month for the first 3 years, rate negotiations, 4, 6, and 8. Ankeny Sanitation curbside to all residents, $4.54 to $5.19, 5-year contract. And from $4.54 to $5.59, 10-year contract, twice a month, plus 1 cent per month per unit for every $1 increase per ton. So if we're just thinking curbside recycling, those are the 3 bids to consider. If we're not looking at a citywide contract.
I don't know the right time to interrupt, but apparently my daughter just smacked her head on the concrete, got that concussion, so.
No problem, I get it, understand, hope she's all right.
You got 4, she got 4.
Hope she's all right.
So do I.
Let us know.
Yep.
Drive
Appreciate it.
carefully, yeah,
Maybe I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow and you can let me know what happened.
yep,
Sorry about that.
safe travels, no, we're thinking of her.
So. Need to decide an independent recycling service. How do you feel about that, Joel?
Don't want to do any of it, but this is of necessary, and so we just need a motion to take, we need to take a motion to take the lowest bid that's here based on.
And I think it's too. I don't think we have the ground or the area to make a single.
Well, you just heard him say, like, who's gonna manage that?
That was my concern was.
Yeah.
We talked about the first time, so. I use garbage guys, so it doesn't make any difference to me on that. It's like they're the lowest bid, I'd say the cheapest.
So we just need a motion on who you guys want to accept as the recycling provider. And just to reiterate,
So this doesn't add any more work to our staff though, right? Just asking.
we will probably bill the 450 through, we'll bill the 450, but all the service related calls would go to either one of the haulers, depending on,
450 to the.
it'll be added on the water bill. Just so it's clear here, this is mandated by state law. We have to do this. This is not our choice. We have to do recycling because we no longer, Ames is no longer burning our trash. So we have to divert the landfill. We will be penalized if we don't do this. By the landfill that we go to or the DNR. So we don't have a choice here. We have to address this.
But this says. Let me clarify this, $4.50 twice a month for the first 3 years.
Right.
So we're effectively looking at $9.
No, $4.50, they pick it up twice a month.
Well, okay, yeah. And then in years 4, 6, and 8, they'd like to negotiate the fee. Right.
Read that.
You can get a separate can for that, right?
Pardon me?
You get a separate can.
Yeah.
Is it bigger or smaller than our trash can?
You'll be in-
That would be for you guys to.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
65 or 95 gallon.
Oh.
The red ones are 95 gallon.
The,
A little smaller than that,
She
but
wrote
if you're
that
gonna
one too.
encourage recycling, might as well get them, go big or go home, I guess.
Maybe what Pella did, they did a little tiny garbage can for garbage and a huge can for recycling. Where I was like, it's ridiculous. My dad did too.
So
I know, they take up a lot of room in your garage, I mean, if you keep them in your garage, they take up one stall.
I mean, I think one of the advantages, obviously, I mean, garbage guys is the load bed on curbside recycling. Garbage guys waste, solid waste. If I'm reading this right, garbage guys, solid waste customers will have their bill moved to $21 per month from whatever, it's more than that today, isn't it? Is it not?
Going up to $26 in July 1st for residential customers because of our 14% increase at the landfill in Ames
Okay, so,
from $24.75. So it's going up a whole $1.25, but I proposed the $21 because you were worried about adding more money to the residents for their monthly bills and gave $4.50 for recycling and $21 for the residential pickup. Because you were stressing out about asking the residents for another $5 a month to get rid of their garbage.
oh, I think it sucks, yeah, for sure. But a garbage guy trash customer would pay $25.50 a month. They'd pay directly 21 to garbage guys, and then they'd pay the $4.50 to the city. So their cost to add recycling is
$4.50.
a break even.
Well, it might be a money loser for us, but this is our town, so.
Right?
So just,
If I'm reading that right, like,
just taking a step backwards, not that I'm for this, but would you do the centralized location and test it out and see how bad it is and then move to this whole thing, or you just go for this whole thing now?
Just go for the whole thing now.
That's fine. I'm just asking the question. I'm not.
And the
Yeah, no,
I think the difference is, what do we do when the citywide one gets contaminated?
Yeah, I know.
And now
That's right.
we're billed to take it to the landfill. Do we
Yep.
pass that through on?
I think county will use it, everybody will use it.
Right.
unfortunately, I don't think we have it.
People can't control ourselves. But it's even people outside of Slater who will come in and do it.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
The dumping in the recycling place, yeah.
That's the problem.
Even if we had a camera.
This is why we need to make this a gated community, put a wall around us, so.
People be upset.
Everyone.
What are they showing?
That, so it's one of the, I know I'm not supposed to speak, but think about it. You got these big cans and you've got a lot of people who fill half of a can.
Yeah,
And so then you just have another can to work around.
yeah, agree. And if you got the yard waste can, now you got 3 cans. Now you need to add a third bay into your garage to be able to have a spot for the cans. It's, yeah,
To store somebody's cans, really.
Well, if you recycle, your trash should be less, so maybe you can.
So I have a quarter of it in one can and a quarter of it in another.
that's basically the risk, but this mandate is coming from, we have to have a recycling program to divert from the landfill.
I have cameras.
And so we gotta have this, we have to have a solution for this. And we could do a citywide based thing, try it, see what happens, see how much it gets contaminated, see how much it's used. Where do you put it? How do you do it? We'd have to look at the administering of that.
Make profit.
Let's go to your driveway.
Make prop bets on it to see backfill when it gets contaminated.
This is a council-based decision. I'm looking for council to advise or table or to keep the discussion going or make a recommendation. Cause we could sit here
I like talking about garbage.
longer.
Just pull the trigger.
How about a motion to approve garbage guys,
Recycling.
curbside recycling to all residents twice a month at $4.50 for the first 3 years? That's the lowest bid.
I don't want beer. That's good.
Does anybody want to do that? Joel?
I'll make the motion. Go.
I'll second.
For it.
Motion to approve garbage guys
So moved.
curbside. Julie, second.
Second.
Effective date,
hate us.
effective date,
We don't have a choice. The state requires it.
effective date,
But we can't make a central location work.
Put the net out, but if. you
January
want
1.
to, Then that. We can do it.
January 1, 2027.
Yeah, I think that's.
Oh, that
what-
gives time. Good.
I think
Yep.
that gives you time to back out.
Yep, I like that. That works. Just in case this whole place is full next time, when they talk about trash, so. Just saying.
We gotta recycle. Other places on the-
That's the life of the city council.
January 1.
January
Well,
one.
no, the library is not even good option.
January 1, 27.
I'm not sure I talk about that.
So we
Yeah.
don't have to sign the contract till January.
No.
Well, I think the problem is, what do you, I don't know. I don't know about,
I think Probably don't, I don't think we should get red ones, and we use red ones right now, because.
I have a black one.
When
I don't
someone's
have
gonna
it.
say we don't wanna recycle anymore.
I don't wanna
rip the
rip it.
sticker
these
off.
probably need to be bomber blue.
Huh?
These probably need to be bomber blue. That way I can put my blue can next to my head can.
Most inexpensive one and
They're
tomorrow
about
I'll
all
keep
the
our.
same, right?
So I think inflation's not on our side to wait to sign a contract, so.
We can't go with a different size. It has
You
to-
can, I
okay.
mean, it doesn't matter, you said.
You said the sizes, but I wasn't.
Up to you.
Cost
Most
is
of the cost of
everything.
recycling is transporting the truck going from point A to point B,
Right.
get it picked up.
But I just would prefer a not giant garbage can. That's
Keep in mind
Yeah,
they
more
take
recycling,
cardboard,
less garbage.
So all your Amazon delivery boxes go in it.
Yep.
I was gonna say she should sign it.
Okay,
You have a first and you have a second.
Oh.
and we're on the same page about January 1, 2027, barring
Absolutely.
Marshall County doesn't want to try to push it up, but we have to use it that time to administer it.
Reiterate, this is for recycling.
This is recycling exclusively. The only thing I would ask to this is that we work on the information release. We get something drafted that cites why we're doing this. So the public gets clear notification as to why we're adding recycling. It's not that city council is pushing like, we gotta go,
Thank you.
you know,
Thank you for that.
and then
You won't put more
work through the
in.
timeline. Yeah, you guys figure out the communication plan, but let's get. You guys figure out the communication plan, but let's get a clear communication out before the end of the week that says city council voted to approve this. What does this mean for a resident? Why is this, what, why, when?
Yeah, you guys are good at that.
Let's get that spelled out for the residents before the end of the week, so there's not a wildfire on what's happened here. And we'll keep garbage wide open. All those in favor signify with the sign aye.
Hi.
Opposed? And any abstentions?
We also added in that we'll have like education on how to recycle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know which one.
Yeah.
Besides the plastic and.
yep.
That was in our.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we're sure we're gonna post it. We should leave now. Your time to leave now.
Thank you.
Hey, can I get a red can? I only have black cans.
Is, do you have a brother that,
I know, I
in Ankeny?
don't bother you though. You do
Oh, you
something.
don't? Okay, good to meet you. Thanks for
You
coming.
guys do great, so good.
All right,
I do have another idea, I'll run past Jen.
Anybody else wanna leave?
okay,
Talk at a later date.
all right.
We might be done by now.
Discussion and consideration of ordinance 321, mobile food trucks.
Right, we took action to set the hearing. This is just,
Any
take a
additional
look at
changes to the,
changes from the last meeting, make sure all the changes are made.
We have to approve this prior to the hearing,
no, we approved this after the hearing.
Yeah,
but I mean,
Yeah, no, we're just one.
we need to table this.
yeah, there were.
No,
several-
this is, hey, do
This
you
is
like the
just
way it's
for
worded
him,
now?
Make sure you like the way it's
The
worded.
changes that you
It's not Gary
recommended
Rolls. So.
There
are
were
highlighted in
several
red.
comments made.
I'm
in
saying,
black.
I understand now. For a year or two.
No.
You're.
Yeah, most of what I saw was in there.
I think the comments that we made are included.
Yep.
Okay. Anything there? No action needed tonight on that? Adjustments, changes? Nothing? Discussion?
Did that verbiage ever get changed just about it was about noise, cause I think that's,
I don't think that did.
I think it
It was
said,
added in there.
I think it said excessive noise
Because.
They put in the
that
exact,
causes a nuisance, it's like,
So it's K, so let me see how that's K. I did have the city attorney look at this
Oh, yeah, they put specific decibels.
and
yes, they put in specific.
the city.
How you measure it.
The city's attorney advised that we don't restrict this so much where we're not gonna allow generator usage.
Which we're not, right?
We're-
So we're not in, concern there, right?
Is that what you? We're not what?
We don't have a restriction that they can't use a generator.
Correct.
They can use a generator.
That's the part I
Right.
don't like.
The attorney said you don't want to do that.
We cannot restrict.
You don't want to tell them they can't use a generator.
Right, we just put a decibel rating on it.
We did put a decibel rating.
Yes,
Well, last time.
And we're getting it out of the.
Anything else besides.
out of that noise ordinance.
Yeah.
You know this one?
Yes.
Are we good with it? Is there more discussion there that needs to be done on that?
I'm good.
It was highlighted in red.
We got decibels, we're just putting the controls we can in and.
So we're not approving this.
Have they been using the power?
Yeah, but that's honestly, if they keep using the power and if it's on their property, I'm happy.
Yeah, okay.
I'm.
We're not doing this for any one property, we're doing it citywide.
Yeah.
So. we're
Absolutely.
not-
Well, I think like anything, it came to light as through the creation of a new business and. We have to deal with the concerns and the challenges with it. Adding food truck ordinances doesn't have to do necessarily always with sound or that as much as it has to do with. The public safety, like the right of ways, a lot of cities don't rely on there. And the other factors are. Which somebody, AJ or one of you brought up the best point, if we require a permitting process. Any food truck that comes to town, we now have the authority to deny the permit for their ability to come to town, should they bring salmonella to half the town, or should they. Tear something up or cause damage or dump grease in the street, or it gives us the ability to kind of monitor and make sure we keep the good trucks in town. And prevent those that aren't operating above board.
Well, we're protecting city property.
And at that point too, right, I assume during the permitting process, you guys are gonna verify. Lindsay, you guys are gonna verify during the permitting process that they have the state, the updated state requirements and they're operating as a legal food truck
Right.
versus as. Right, that
Yes,
their credentials are up to date with the
Yep.
state.
we'll have all
That's the
that.
main purpose of it.
I think that's definitely helps with public safety. Although sometimes the ones that aren't up to date are the best food, but.
You clarified where Shepherd is on.
We're on F.
Yeah, bike.
Yes, moving to F, discussion numerics. Here's the deal, guys. This one doesn't take a lot of consideration tonight, but I need to get with Public Works still to talk about this, but here's the deal. A resident approached. They're interested in funding a bike rack or a few bike racks. This is a very hypothetical design of the same High Trestle Trail bike racks that you see throughout the High Trestle Trail. They would be extensions off of the posts in a removable manner and allow the ability to be like 4 bikes or something around the posts. The key right now is just we're working on the mechanism to get it done because the donor would ideally like to donate through a tax deductible vehicle to pay for them.
Can't that be the city?
We're working through that because we're not a 501c3, but we've got another avenue.
And it's just.
That's like where we need a community betterment foundation, that funds capital projects, but we've got to work around. The key and the reason this is on your agenda at the moment is just because is there any major problems you see with the hypothetical design? Public Works will have to sign off on them, but they'll be powder coated in colors if we want to choose colors and designate or have various
They will
colors
be
or
Removable.
they'll be
Doesn't
removable.
mean They will be attached at some point, so they don't end up in the middle of the street at midnight.
Yeah, I believe that's the design. They'd attach to the column and then
Well, let me think.
they'd attach to the column and then
Okay. But they
pull
can
off
be
the
removed
column.
For snow removal and everything else.
Yep.
So this isn't us paying for these.
No, this would all be private donation and it's
My
like
concern is.
maybe 6 of them. We'd have to decide placement on some of them, but up to 6 of them potentially. If the city wanted to fund some of them, when you think about it's making use of those light bay areas that don't provide, outside of aesthetics, it's a great spot for bikes to be parked. How do you incorporate that with the columns that are there was the question. Parking.
Parking,
Yeah.
or the racks cannot interfere with traffic flow at midnight.
Yep.
Those are my 2 things.
By being in the street, yep. Yeah, and we'll get Public Works sign off and make sure they understand and that, cause they'll be the ones to maintain it, obviously, long term, but it's a very generous offer from a donor, so.
They're very cool.
We're working on the vehicle to fund it, through the tax deduction pathway. Okay, this next item on the agenda is, the burning ordinance. It was brought up last time about a resident who doesn't, who tends to burn next to someone's garage and it becomes a risk for that individual. And that neighbor, and I think that's common for everybody. And so after that meeting, there was an email exchanged. And I worked with Jerry to look at the code, and I've analyzed the code here. And basically what the code says today is that, which is really silly and needs to be fixed. But our code today says, basically burning of residential waste prohibited. And then it goes to all burning of organic matter should comply with the following, and I'm at number 1 here. Must take place no closer than 25 feet from any adjoining or neighboring residential dwelling. That seems goofy to me because that essentially says you can burn on your property line if you're 25 feet away from the house. You can burn on the backside of the garage if you're not 25 feet, if you're still 25 feet away from the residential dwelling. It puts the boundary between where the fire can burn and the dwelling as 25 feet, not their other structures. And it
So
seems
just
to
needs say
me,
neighboring residential structure.
well,
Any
I don't
structure.
know if we want to say structure, just because you start getting into like, where do you put it? But we definitely want it off the property line a certain distance.
And do you want it in a, like a?
And then the question is, do you want a contained? I think it's a great question, and in looking in the code, this doesn't make a lot of sense. Based on the scenario that was provided to us, like you can burn on your property line in the back of my garage and melt my siding, but still be in compliance with the code. The code has to change somehow there.
Redo that. That's something that,
Policy and
Policy
admin
and
need to look at this.
Okay.
But I think the recommendation that we should give to policy and admin is to look at the right distance from the property line. And maybe you have a minimum of, right, cause 8 feet from the property line and a minimum of, 8 feet or whatever from any dwelling or any structure. Define both of
and
them
you
in there.
also wanna look at the.
Container,
Yeah, that's it.
if you want a container,
We'll have a bunch of recycling containers.
right? I think then this gives, I think this then,
Plastic, you know that.
Mhm.
We'll look at samples
This-
from a.
No.
and then I think the other thing I think that needs defined a little bit here is the penalty. If the public works elects to give a citation, a municipal infraction, the form and contents of the citation shall comply with the citation shall be served upon the responsible person or persons as required. So we need to know what the penalty is too for the violation
Okay,
then,
so we're gonna refer this to policy.
to admin.
Sounds good, moving on.
And I even, just real quick, even like wooden fences. I mean, if you've got a wooden fence up along your property
Yeah.
line, I've got a neighbor that
That should be included in
Kind
the
of fires
structure
up
idea.
and
that it's the way-
Well, if you do property line, that would apply.
I think you have to use property line. They have to be set into their property in a container. I think that's some of the requests, right?
You ain't gonna cut it when you're burning the couch.
Certainly, but they won't be able to burn a couch if there's not in a
Can be
container.
burning it.
It'll be in violation of you can't burn a couch by code because it's waste.
Could not.
That's nice.
We're trying to improve. I'm trying to take your concerns and fix the code. Just because,
8 feet from their house, I don't care if they burn their house down, but keep it 25 feet away from any of my structure.
yeah, I think the hard part is like. There's properties in town that then could never burn in their backyard, so it's like we have setbacks. There's gotta be some sort of continuity between what our setbacks have to be for our dwellings and sheds.
Yeah.
And at least if we can get it a minimum of 8, or maybe it's 10 feet, we'll have to figure that out off the property line with a container. Then when that person does burn the couch, that's a call. And it'll be a citation. And that can be a call to the fire department who then sees it, because there's officials through the fire department who can reference that to City Hall, who can write the ticket and the infraction,
Because my goal isn't to
prevent burning.
exactly.
Yeah.
Or
You're not coming off in the wrong way at all. Your concern raised a valid point. That's why I went to the code with Jerry. And we're looking at this code. And when you look at the code, I want us to follow the rules. And we have rules. So let's look at the rules. Are they the right rules or wrong rules? right now, in my opinion, we don't have a very good rule. Let's fix it, or law, let's fix it. And then all we can do is enforce it based on residents' complaints or concerns and move on. We won't prevent people from breaking the law. We still have, prisons and jails in the country and a lot of laws. So we're just doing the best we can within our control and fixing a problem that's in the code,
Yeah, I'm good with,
So-
just
trying to fix it.
some logical, distance.
Yep. Julie, a motion to send this to policy and admin for those adjustments, including the penalties, determining penalties.
Second.
All those in favor signify with the sign aye.
Aye.
Um. Moving to I, discussion consideration of city's fiscal year 25 annual exam.
Lindsay, do you have an update?
Yeah, so this is the annual exam that we had done for fiscal year 25. I gave a description on some of the findings and how some of them have already been addressed. Segregation of duties, we will always have, even though we have 3 people in the office. You're still gonna have it. The bank books have been bouncing since July of 2025. So that's been taken care of. You're receiving monthly clerk reports, and then starting with the next budget, since we had so many changes with chart of accounts, it will be a lot cleaner with the chart of accounts. So I'll give you a printout on what is budgeted, what is spent, and how much is remaining in percentage. Same with revenue, what we budgeted to receive in, what we received in, and how much is left. Some of the other things we got was like the deposits investment. That is because it was fiscal year 25 being audited. Those things have already been addressed for fiscal year 26. The city council meeting minutes, that's not gonna be an issue anymore because I put them in a binder, get them signed right away and sent to the newspaper within 14 days. Gross wages have to be published in the newspaper every year. I did those for this year on May 6th minutes, so that's already been done. Resolutions were never in a binder, or they didn't get put in the binder right away. That's,
Some of them.
yeah, some of
Just
them.
some of them.
That's already been taken care of. They're all in order as soon as they're signed. The certified budget, well, you're supposed to do a budget amendment before you go over and expend expenditures. Not a lot of cities do it. They wait till the very end,
By program, based on.
but based on program, you can amend 2 or 3 times, try to save the city money. You have to at least do one.
The only thing we need your help on with that, Lindsay, is we need to have a very good understanding of where the funds stand throughout the year.
Yep,
On the regular meetings. We need to make sure we get that in your clerk's report.
yep,
Copies of budget year to date, so we know how the funds are operating, so we know when a decision's gonna run us over. And we need you and Jerry to help flag us when we're making financial decisions that are outside of what's been budgeted, that you flag us that we're creating a future budget amendment.
yep. That will be done. That was part of C with the clerk's report. It's
Yep.
the budget summary.
I just want to make sure we start getting that at every meeting in the new year.
The credit cards, that's been resolved as we now have Ramp, and you have to take a picture of your receipt and it automatically uploads it to Ramp. So we're currently in the process of working on some of the donations, so we cannot give money to the community. I'll use community club for an example. We can't just give them $5,000. We don't know where the money's going. So we have to pay for one specific item. I think this year we're doing the carnival. The garden club we have to talk about still. And I think I'm not sure about this later, historical society, but we're looking into it. The employee benefits, they were not split up between all categories, water, sewer. Like if I got paid out of water, I got my employee benefits taken out of City Hall that should have been out of water. That's now been corrected. Payroll, city department staff is signing off on all the payroll. Kelsey signed off on pool, Mark signed off on public works, and Jerry is signing off on City Hall staff. And then Annual
Reports, yeah.
and the 2 reports were not done on time, and now with PFM doing an audit on our TIF, we'll be able to get everything in line. So,
All right,
otherwise, that's about it.
perfect. Thank you, Lindsay. Thanks for that. Let's just have a motion to accept the annual exam and the solutions.
Motion to accept.
Second,
All those in favor signify with the sign aye. Animal rescue service contract. Feel like we just renewed this.
You have fiscal year 26 annual exam contract.
With the same.
Oh, yeah,
with the
sorry.
same-
Fiscal year, yep. I'm supportive of that. Is anybody else?
Motion to approve.
All right. All those in favor signify with the sign aye.
Aye.
Animal rescue service contract. Everybody good with renewing that? This is just a renewal of an agreement we continually have and have to have.
We have to pick A, B, or C option.
Oh,
Oh,
Or she.
what do you recommend?
B.
B?
B, yeah, it gives the city, let's see, animal control services shall be performed upon request or authorization from the city.
Cost difference between the options?
Don't think, well, C is basically us doing a lot of this work that they do for us, so C is not an option. And honestly, A and B are very close, and I think the only difference is what I just said.
We used to have a very vested stakeholder involved in the animal service rescue service contract. We don't as much have that anymore, but I think it's good to have somebody that you can call based on what you're saying in B, what I'm, but unlimited to investigations, ordinance enforcement, citations, and field response. Animal control services shall be performed upon request or authorization by the city. Independent authority to respond to emergency. The city shall retain independent authority to respond to emergency situations posing,
Yep.
an immediate threat to public safety, welfare of the county shall also retain independent authority to respond to and investigate animal bites. Yep. Yep, cool. Motion to approve letter B from anybody?
so moved.
All those in favor signify with the sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Can reach out to us if we didn't get that right. Moving to the stormwater drainage at Severs Industrial Park subdivision.
Yeah, just kind of an update, we had a redevelopment meeting with an applicant, IE. For proposed office warehouse at Severs Industrial Park, lot 6, which is on the north side of the east-west street in the subdivision. Really the reason why we have this here is we provided review comments and there was a question about the requirement for the applicant to install a storm sewer drain from lot 6, which would be outletted. It would be outletted from the detention basin to 500th Avenue, which is the north-south street. The prior meeting, the actual road right away, and the development itself was approved by city council. There was interest by the parties with Hawkins. Hawkins is on the south side, relocating from Green Street to lot 7 of the development. And they had a strong interest in the city providing assurance that the completed. So the documentation was provided to that regard. So the question is whether or not, I think the subdivision was somewhat designed as more of a rural road ditch, which would accommodate like an open drainage system. But again, what was proposed by the engineer or the applicant's engineer was to put in piping. I pulled in Mark to take a look at it. Also went out to the site with Brent from Cider, and I think he was involved in design of the subdivision. And so we're just trying to figure out what options we have. Had some discussion with Mark today about that. Certainly installing a pipe would be an option, but it's being resisted by the applicant. I don't know what that cost is, but it's around 400 lineal feet, I think. Versus potentially, requiring additional grading, which would accommodate the flow. I don't know how much grading would need to be done. It's pretty shallow right now, especially on that north side. I think the engineer thought that it was about a 1 foot drop from the road surface to the center of the ditch, but I think Mark took a look at that and would support like a drainage regrading of that, but commented that that's not something that the cost should be borne by the city. The developer, we were on a call last week with the realtor involved in the applicant's purchase of that lot. And he's supportive of regrading, but I think his position is that he should not bear the full cost of that. So I think the issue is whether or not the city would participate in the cost. But again, Mark, you looked at it and would support a regrading, but commented that it shouldn't be the city paying for that.
Right, I think the way the project ended up for the city, the drainage system that's there functions for what the city needs, which is to drain the road. Right now, it's fully functional, and so the reason that the ditch would either need a pipe or grading is because of the elevation of the lot. So the other option is they could fill the lot to get the lot to drain as well. So that's a more expensive option probably. So I think whichever option they pick, it's to facilitate the development of that lot. And so that's kind of where I landed. I mean, neither one could work from an engineering standpoint.
So it'll be interesting.
I don't think it's our responsibility to fix the ditch. I think
Right.
it makes sense, and in hindsight, if you drive out there and look at it, the ditch should be deeper, but I do think. There's TIF funds on this project for the execution of the infrastructure and the design and. Public improvements that were necessary to put all the infrastructure in, and I don't wanna lose a potential business that's gonna build a nice business and with great people. For the community, cause I know both the ID Power people. But my personal opinion is I don't know that we should be on the hook for any of that improvement versus the developer or the landowner figuring out. I remember sitting in on the first meeting, and mind you, the site plan review was not, I don't know, did it exist before Jerry got here? This is the first time we started to look at this, but the way the development was designed, when I sat at the meeting with the developer and the city staff at that time, it was just basically kind of nonchalantly that each purchaser of the land will be required to deal with the stormwater, their stormwater on their own. Is kind of where the development got approved as, and that was good enough. And I think it probably was a good enough solution if the ditch got put in maybe the way it was supposed to, or didn't, or I don't know where that went wrong, but.
Well, we're making the restaurant deal with their runoff.
Everybody, I mean.
Yeah.
You put ponds in at your place. I mean, so I think it's up to the landowner or the land purchaser between those two to figure out what makes sense.
Agreed.
In theory, I suppose, based on the TIF agreement, if the developer has not exceeded their receipts turned in, it's in the right of way. So the cost to expand the ditch or change the ditch could be potentially recuperated through the TIF arrangement still. I don't know the answer to that. That's a Jenna answer, but that's the only avenue really that's left to review. Right, like that's the recourse for the developer is, it could be a submitted cost. I don't know if we've certified those costs already and that you know, the timeline of all that, Lindsay, if that's put us in a position where it's not available for them. But it could be that's the only financial avenue the city has available in my mind to support the improvement.
I guess the question is, can you add additional costs to your existing tip?
That's the question, and I would just say Jerry and Lindsay to look into that and express that city council's opinion was that it's between the developer and the land purchaser, and that you guys could investigate before passing the message if that's an option. I do feel like we certified the debt already, his receipts that he turned in, but just verify and make sure. Cause you could just pass that positive piece of news on if it is positive. Council aligns on that?
Yep.
Are you good with that, Jerry? Discussion end in there? Okay. Discussion and consideration of engineering fee of $2,500 for fire station overhead door project. AJ, do you know, or do you know, this is related to some of the ceiling related items?
That this was,
Additional design that needs to be happening. In response to some of the work that's been started.
yeah,
Okay. Any concerns about it?
a little bit.
Something that came up just in the process.
My understanding was that they were in the process, they're in the process of correcting the door, which Chuck Ritson was originally there to correct it. As part of that assessment, they found some other issues with some trusses inside the building, and still this was to evaluate that part.
Do you know anything to clarify, is this? They're only requiring two 2x8s. And 2 rod, or these threaded. Or are they requiring this every 2-foot span?
That part I don't know. Yeah, I had asked him to give me a more of a summary of what their response was, but I didn't get it before the meeting, so.
Yeah,
I just,
I
as
don't
you said,
know that any of us are clear on that.
addressing the trusses.
Cause the way I read this is it says 2. But is that 2 per every 2 foot, or is that?
We're just approving paying them for what the work they've been doing,
But
right?
this is for design.
This is just the design of the fix.
There's gonna be some additional costs now.
Yeah, cause they have to fix the design.
Well, they're heading some different, there's gonna be material additional cost is what he's saying, I believe.
Right,
Yeah.
but this is just to pay for the design that they've already done.
They
started. Well, they started.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly done. Not this part, but the ceiling's ripped out, the ceiling, those lower cords have been cut. The tie-in, what I'm seeing here has been executed. What's not been done is this, I don't know what this new 5/8 diameter thread
Right.
rod in the hanger.
There's no.
And then putting a hanger on the truss, like, right? And then, where was the 2x8, AJ?
It's that goofy one that.
Two new 2x8s, men from
Yeah,
top
nail.
of truss to second hanger, both attached opposite side of Simpson tie, fasten each with 2 16D nails every 3 inches, increased depth of 2x structural membrane and notch the roof curvature.
So short of us trying to design it, we're gonna put in $2,500 to do that, right?
Right.
I make a
This-
motion that we do that.
This keeps us in compliance for sure with safe building. All those in favor signify with the sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? All right, here, with that said, we are going to enter into a closed session now. So unfortunately, we've got to kick you all out. Thank you.
It's more entertaining.
On vacation. That tells you a lot about TV nowadays.
The new channel.
I said, if I get the picture, you have Prime or Netflix, you might want to consider getting.
No, you want to.
Yeah.
Truth.
So be careful. These little crazy.
Yeah, so just a second here,
Appreciate you guys.
well, we would just,
Motion to go in
close,
closed
we,
session.
yeah, motion to close.
Motion to go in closed.
Second from Julie. All those in favor signify with the sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? All right. We'll be back at the end of closed session.
And meeting for all, or leave meet, which one do I do?
You can actually leave the meeting probably. And if they wanna stay in here, oh wait.
And watch us.
Well,
no.